What is up, YouTube? Welcome to episode 39 of D&D Sports Chat. We're coming up on number 40 already. Wow. How about that?
Shenanigans. You've been doing this for a long time, as we were discussing prior.
Yes. Kind of going down a trip down memory lane there, just looking at other previous podcasts.
Lucky enough for Chad, he wasn't a part of that.
And we've come a long way over the past 10 years or so.
When my career is blossoming. That should be deleted. Thankfully, no one's looked at that.
Wait, did you say that on the cycle? Or you said something about your career is blossoming. What did you? Oh,
no, it's blossomed quite a bit. I've actually taken a few good turns.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Actually, I did some stuff better than the cycle. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, the cycle, which you didn't even get a chance to speak on. Your phone wasn't going through there, so
that was painful.
Yes, sir. All right, we guys ready to start this up?
Let's rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Talk shoes.
Recorded live.
You think you know me?
On this day, I see clearly everything has come to life. A better place in a broken dream, and we'll leave it all behind. On this day, it's so real to me.
He's back.
And he hasn't showered in months.
Oh, man, yeah. How about that?
I know.
Everybody catch SmackDown last night? The return of the dead man and the Radar superstar himself.
Okay, Chimmel.
Yeah, that was fun. We'll talk a little bit about WWE later on in the show, but I just figured it would be kind of fitting to start off the show with that theme.
It's a good intro, actually. I kind of dig that, actually.
It's always been one of my favorite entries.
It has. Other than Taker, because last night was the return of Taker and Edge. But
well, I'm glad that, the 10 minutes it takes him to get to the ring. I'm actually glad he spoke more than 2 minutes,
Yeah, we'll touch on that more.
I'm sure Derek will reenact that any time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got a chance to digest a little bit. I did. I got home last night after that heartbreaking Wings loss and skipped through probably about 80% of SmackDown just to get through to the end, and it was well worth it. So we'll touch on that later on. But before we start the show, I know, Danny, you had something to promote here. I guess your girlfriend has a little play coming up here you want to endorse.
Yeah, and she's been working hard on it, and I've had the pleasure of actually watching it all be developed and put together, and watching something be produced like that from pretty much nothing. And all these men and women have worked really hard on that. So I want to give that a plug. It's called Arsenic and Old Lace. It is at the Crestwood High School. That is located on 1501 North Beach Daily in Dearborn Heights. It runs tomorrow night through Sunday. Ticket prices are just $10, so go out there and support the hardworking high school students and also some adults, 26, 27, 28. And we put that all together.
And where's the money going towards?
High school.
High school?
So it's a good cause, and these kids look good. I was able to watch rehearsals yesterday, and honestly, they look like professionals. Some of the actors and actresses look just phenomenal. I'm looking forward to Sunday. Looking forward to Sunday. Yeah. If you want information, you can go on the Crestwood Theater page on their Facebook page. So there you have it.
I know Garden City, they also have a community theater, I think, at the high school that they put on some good shows. They get a lot of high publicity.
Why didn't they do that when we were in high school?
I know.
Because both of us would have been on it.
Well, I was drama. I was in drama.
I was in drama later on, but I also took some college stuff.
Shimdog.
Yeah, that was...
I remember you talking about your classes at school craft.
Yeah, the plays that you had to go to, like for extra credit, you said you had to actually pay to go see.
Yeah, you had to pay to go see.
Just to get paid for extra credit, essentially.
Oh,
it was.
I couldn't go.
A little bit much, but it wasn't bad. I actually rather enjoyed it, and I have a newfound respect for stuff like that now.
Not bad. Well, yeah, go check it out for a good cause, and you might see some future Broadway stars. Maybe some.
You never know who you're going to see. Yeah. It's definitely going to be exciting.
It's a way to get your foot in the door. Mm-hmm. So moving on to some sports, we'll start off with the heartbreaking news of the Red Wings. The Red Wings, which the game I went to last night, I know we don't want to touch too much on the Wings because...
Oh, yes, you do.
There's not much to really talk about with this team other than the defense. Is
injuries.
Injuries. Darren Helm out 6 to 8 weeks.
Darren Helm has an injury? What?
Oh, that's a shocker.
Take
Double
it
A,
in, man.
Andrea Santanasi was out for 2 weeks, which, what was his injury again? Some sort of...
He tweaked his knee. He should be back in the next couple games, though, I heard. Right, that's why they sent Bertuzzi down, but he's not probably going to come back up with Helm.
And I've been hearing some possible news of Thomas Vanek coming back with him.
Thomas Vanek is pretty close to going, so I actually would think he would play Sunday. The game that we will be attending.
That'd be great.
That'd
be nice.
And the Calgary Flames, which we play Sunday, are a depleted team. They're what, 6-10
Boudreaux,
right now. Boudreaux is currently out, which he
Goudreau, not Boudreaux. Pardon me.
Johnny Goudreau.
Boudios?
Yeah,
He won't be
Boudreaux,
back.
yeah.
It doesn't look like he'll be back for Sunday's game. So we need all the help we can get. But we've improved with even Steven Stamkos going down. We still couldn't fight back.
He did score a goal in his
one shift that he
minute
had,
38-second shift.
I missed it when all of a sudden I got text messages from you, my dad, saying Stamkos was hurt, and I didn't see it happen. But then when I went back and watched the live recording,
when you're at a game like that, you miss way too much. You're not necessarily staring at Stamkos the entire game.
Well, not even that, but
especially
you miss
with hockey because it's such a fast
pace.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah.
You know, like when football, when someone gets hurt, the play stops, or you see them hobbling off the field.
And baseball, I mean, you can pinpoint things. Basketball, I think the only sport that you can't really catch the action is hockey because
it's so fast. And they'll stop play unless it's really serious.
I can go without seeing a basketball game live, a baseball game live, but football and hockey, I feel like it's a whole different atmosphere when you're there that you need to see it live. And Lions games.
It's a great experience.
Yeah, Lions game. I've been to 2 or 3 Lions games. They've won 2 out of the 3 I've been to, and they're exciting games.
As bad as the Lions are, they have a really good fan base.
They have a dedicated fan base. We know how they are, and we always talk about when that Super Bowl comes.
Oh boy!
Now, as far as the wing standpoint goes,
yes,
I want to bring up a little question to you guys. As it seems that Peter Mrazek does not look comfortable in goal. It seems like the rebound control.
Would you with that defense?
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, that is to the point. But he has to, on his own level, he looks rattled.
Control himself.
He gives up a goal. And it seems like everything just unravels for him. And the game speeds up to 1,000. And he's not able to recover. And his rebound control has gotten significantly worse in the past.
As Howard's has gotten better.
I was say because that was Howard's problem the last couple of years.
And Howard looks like the number one guy right now.
I was say Howard should be our starter.
To say because you want the youth movement because Howard's definitely not your future. You got one guy who's 32, you got one guy who's 23 or 24. So you know who you're building this franchise around. And if anything, you got to play the hot goaltender because just like in football, the Matthew Stafford quarterbacks and goaltenders in Detroit are the scapegoats, and right now it's Peter Mrazek, and it's only because his goals against average is very, very elevated.
And if you look at Jimmy Howard's, you're gonna throw your arms in the air because why isn't Jimmy Howard starting? Look at Jimmy Howard's numbers.
And because they're trying to push for that number 1 to be Mrazek. As much as you want to
They've seen Mrazek's potential from last year and a little bit of the year before.
He started off the year great. Other than that first game where he hiccuped and he gave up 4 or 5 goals against Tampa, he was doing really well. The Wings were 6-2. They were near the top of the division. And now the past week they've lost, 7 of their last 8 games. So there's obviously some worry as far as defense because we know that Ken Holland is not addressing the right fixes right now to get this team better. But and the schedule, we talked about this last week, the schedule is not getting any easier. With Washington, you don't really know what you're going to get there. I really did not see them getting their asses kicked like they did against Montreal. I mean, that was
you're in
horrendous.
for a shellac.
Hey, you can tell Friday. They're way below the best teams in the NHL.
I mean, Montreal is in a league of their own.
The competition level, though, if you look at the game against Montreal, the Wings were out of that.
From the beginning.
Puck drop, you didn't even have to watch the pregame. You knew Montreal was going to dominate. You knew it. And now if you go in the first period and you throw up a goose egg and you do nothing against Holtby, forget it. Mm-hmm. Washington's going to tear you apart.
Yeah, they're too dangerous. Ovechkin's going to probably get a couple goals on you if you don't contain him. And Holtby,
stay out of the box.
Yeah, you got
power play unit.
Better hope Mike Green has a good game against his old team.
That's the only thing you're riding on. But that, our power play, I believe, we had 2 power play goals last night, but before that we were 3 for 48 on the power play. And our penalty kills right now currently ranked 15th in the league, so it's in the middle of the pack.
Better hope Thomas Vanek comes back and he is 100%, and he can kind of take the load off a little bit.
Even though he scored on it last night, our power play is still embarrassing. We can barely get the puck in the zone.
I know it's a little bit of an overstatement to say that a guy like Steve Ott is your next Darren McCarty because Darren McCarty could actually score goals on top of creating fights.
Steve Ott scored
but Steve Ott, I feel like the fight that he had against Boyle kind of lit a fire into their asses. That's why they scored 2 goals unanswered in the third period and came back. I feel like that was the turning point of the game. Do you like what you've seen out of Steve Ott? They just need to keep him on the ice.
Well, he's not the difference maker.
No.
But he's a guy that the sandpaper that you like. And
as
far as I am concerned, I like a guy like Steve Ott because you don't have to have Justin Abdelkader dropping the gloves. You're paying Abdelkader to score goals, to get assists, to rough guys up, but you're not necessarily wanting him dropping the gloves every couple games. We're Ott, he's your 4th line player at best. He's going to get you a handful of goals a season. He's not going to put up big-time offensive numbers, but he's a guy that is a leader. He's been in the league a long time. He's a good locker room guy.
True.
And I like what he brings with the fire, and he's going to stick up for guys like Larkin and Anthony C. You don't need those guys dropping the gloves. You don't need those guys getting pushed around. And I think Ott will be a difference maker. Obviously, you see games against Tampa Bay. You see how rough and rugged they are. Tampa Bay is going to beat up on Detroit. And if you go into Washington, you should know him very well. Tom Wilson will destroy the Wings. Mm-hmm. There's your Steve Ott question mark. You throw Steve Ott out there, he'll fight Tom Wilson. There you have that. So there's that little balance factor. That's why I like Steve Ott. I know a lot of people...
He matches up well with the top fighters.
A lot of people don't like Steve Ott being on this team because I get this, and I'm not 100% pro Steve Ott. I'm not all for it. Because he is taking a roster spot of a Bertuzzi, of a potential Mantha, if the Wings can get
Mantha got a
healthy.
point last night, too.
A nice assist for Zetterberg. Yeah. And Zetterberg just had to basically
nice,
tip it in.
Zetterberg missed that. He should probably retire.
I know.
But I don't have a problem with it personally right now as far as this team goes because I think the Wings need a guy like Steve Ott. But in the future, going forward, if the Wings are 100% healthy, Ott's probably going to be a healthy scratch.
Well, he was. He was a healthy scratch after the first game of the season. He sat for 4 games.
Yurko's coming back. Yurko's coming back. Vanek's coming back. So you're going to have Ott probably sitting for Yurko.
And Cronwall was out last night because there's
maintenance day.
Yeah, maintenance day because
the biggest bunch of hoopla.
Yeah, that's basically to rest him so his bones don't
knee
crack.
can't hold up.
Yeah, so his bones don't
Cronwall's
break.
going to have
so fragile. He'll probably sit out Friday too. He'll probably be back for our game Sunday.
Playing against Washington, I'd take a seat too.
Mm-hmm. Because he might get crowned himself. But I'm going to want to touch on a comment you just made about how Tampa Bay kind of was roughing us up. I saw a lot of potential of this being like a rejuvenated Colorado-Detroit rivalry, just from the attitude of the game. You maybe not were able to see it on TV, but being there, the atmosphere felt like it.
You could tell on TV.
Yeah. They
don't like each other.
They were loud. Not so much
Boyle
at
and the Advocator don't like each other.
No, they don't.
A lot of the Tampa players
a lot of animosity.
That whole 7-game series was
2 in a row. They've knocked us out back-to-back years, and
you're probably going to play them again this year if you make the playoffs.
Because they're going to be a top seed, and we're going to be bottom feeders if we get in.
The Red Wings could be a little competitive. It'd be nice to call it a rivalry, but right now it's a very one-sided rivalry.
Tampa Bay's got it. They've won both games, and they've won both playoff series. So right now they've definitely got the better end of us, and Stevie Y's loving it.
We just don't have.
I was looking.
We don't have
the
size to compete with a team like that.
Tampa Bay has a big, strong team, even with Stamkos going down quick, he did score a goal.
But they were without him the entire year last year.
You were without him the entire year last year, and you've seen how good they were.
Yeah, one win away from the
Jonathan.
They have a brick wall in net, and they have Tyler Johnson, who just is the Red Wings kryptonite, man.
And Kucherov.
God, those two guys just score goals all the time.
Defenseman.
Kucherov he's tops in points for the NHL right now.
It's crazy.
Man, it'd be nice
that's a team with, I think, they're a team with.
They have a lot of character. They have a lot of guys that know their jobs. They go out there, like Brian Boyle. Mm-hmm. He's not going to put up a ton of points, but he's going to go out there.
No, he's out there to mentally take people out of their game.
He frustrates the hell out of people.
He's a scrapper, and he does it right.
Now listen to this scoring lead. I'm just going to roll off the league leaders in the NHL. Mark Scheifele. With the Jets, 21 points. Mm-hmm. Kucherov right behind him, 21. Stamkos is hurt now, but he's got 20, and then Tyler Seguin with 20.
And we're not even 20 games into the season. That's the scary part.
Kucherov is going to have another big year.
Mm-hmm. Didn't they just re-sign him too?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. Though.
No, these guys are actually playing.
Tampa's going to lose. Tampa's probably going to lose Bishop.
Well, you can kind of...
Yeah, but their backup goal is really good.
Vedoslavsky?
Yeah,
he is a very good.
They're going to be a team that's going to be competing for a cup in the next at least 5 years strong. They're right up there with a Pittsburgh and Montreal. I mean, they're a young, hungry team. Honestly, the Eastern Conference is so up for grabs between Montreal right now is early cup favorite, but you got Tampa Bay.
That's why the Wings are missing the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I mean
because how good the East is.
Well, Montreal taking that spot because they missed last year, so someone's going to miss a spot, and I feel like you're going to be competing with the Flyers because the Flyers right now are pretty much playing identical hockey.
They're below you right now. Yeah. Toronto's in front of us. Boston.
Toronto is actually surpassed. Dude, they start the season so horribly.
They're 7-6-3 or something like that, or something like that. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Babcock's philosophy.
Babcock's got him playing some hockey.
Austin Matthews has slowed down a little bit. I don't think he scored in 9, but
Edmonton's still riding the waves high, right? They're up there. I think they're top 3 in the conference in West.
There's a lot of teams that right now are not, that were bottom feeders last season.
Because of injury woes. They had injury woes or they were rebuilding. Some teams, it only takes a year to eat some shit. Last night, the Ducks, they beat the Oilers. The Oilers have kind of fallen a little bit. They're 9-7-1 right now. They've actually lost 3 of their last 5 games, so they're a little bit, they're struggling a little bit right now to score goals.
The Red Wings need to catch a little streak here. They're not going to be in the playoff picture much longer.
No. Now, this is a team right now that, come trade deadline, if they don't make some sort of moves to drop, somebody on defense. I mean, I don't really know who you're going to move because Eriksson is long term. The one guy that you can move on this team to save that defense is Eriksson. And you could get somebody to build around, and you're not going to do it because Eriksson's not going to lead this team.
Eriksson has no trade value.
I still stick by it. They got to trade Howard before the deadline.
I kind of agree with you, Chad, but the thing is finding a suitor is the fact.
If he keeps playing the way he is, you don't have a problem finding a suitor.
I think that, he's playing out of his mind.
I mean,
right
I don't
now.
care if they trade him before the deadline.
As long as Mrazek's healthy.
Listen, I get Howard's your number 1 goalie right now, but who are you going to keep come the draft for Las Vegas? You're not going to keep Howard over Mrazek. He's way older than Mrazek.
Is Las Vegas starting next year?
Yeah, the draft is this offseason.
What did they find out? What's their name going to be?
I don't know.
I think that's being
the
revealed.
Knights. I thought it was the Knights.
Week.
The Las Vegas Sin. I always like that name, the Las Vegas Sin.
Oh no, that'd be offensive.
Yeah, it would be. Sin City.
Give me a break.
Oh yeah, the religious.
You're gonna have a hockey team and a football team.
Vegas, like I said, we talked about this weeks ago about Vegas not being a hockey city. It's more going to be like a tourist attraction. You're there to gamble.
They're going to have a really nice arena.
They will. And
I'm sure it's going to be really nice.
It's not going to be as nice as the new.
They'll get all-star games and stuff like that.
Well, I'll be pissed if Vegas gets an all-star game before the new Joe does. Little Caesars. I think that in the next couple of years.
I think they will because of the fact that they're going to try to put butts in seats and they're going to want to get as much publicity for that team as possible.
So. And where do you think the NHL is going to want to go first? Las Vegas or Detroit? Think about
Detroit's rebuilding, man. Once Gary Bettman sees that new arena.
Just think about the name, though, Derek.
I know.
Think about the name.
Little Caesars.
Where do you want to go? Detroit?
Vegas.
Well,
then have they ever had? I thought they had the draft in Vegas one year.
Yeah, they have a couple years.
Yeah, I was going to say that's. No.
But the draft can be in Derek's basement. It doesn't matter.
Let's just look ahead for the schedule. Other than the Capitals, obviously this Sunday you got the Flames, and then you go and face the Sabres and the Devils. Those are going to be 2 road games.
Better win both of those games.
Those are winnable games, but you're going to
Sabres are much improved.
Devils
are
really still bottom of the East, though.
How's Taylor Hall been?
Taylor Hall's hurt.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's out 3 weeks.
Wow. Yeah.
Yep.
That's paying off. And then you got Montreal back at home on the 26th. Wow.
That's
redemption.
You got to have that redemption game.
That's a redemption game.
But you don't want to look too ahead because you don't want to. Yes, your stretch of really tough opponents ends on Friday, but then you start playing a few guys that are right about your caliber, your level of your team. But you can't take any team lightly, and the Wings should not be doing that. Flames on Sunday is not going to be a cakewalk. We'll see it firsthand, but the Wings got to play better. They got to get a little bit more goal scoring ability, and I don't know how you're going to create chances. You got to give Anthony Mantha a lot more minutes. You got to put.
He led the team in minutes a couple games ago.
I really believe I want to see Mantha and Larkin together.
I want to see Mantha just camp out in front of the net like Holmstrom
is with these lines.
Well, with Vanek possibly coming back Sunday, he fills that roster void in Helm going down. So there's Vanek up there, and hopefully he doesn't.
Yurko will be back soon too. Not that means a whole difference maker.
I wish he would have gone.
But with Anthony out, I think Mantha's taking his spot because
Anthony he's going to be back in a game or two. Anyway.
Yeah. He's got a minimum of 2 weeks. Sprained knee, that's going to be quick to heal.
Tyler Bertuzzi would probably come up for a game or 2.
You think?
Cup of coffee and send you back down.
Because people
because he's free reign right now. You can send him up and down a bunch of times.
Yeah, and it must suck to be a guy like that. But you got to look at the contracts. You got to look at how it.
I don't think Mantha can go back down anymore.
No, Mantha's I think
Mantha might be almost out of options.
I think
he is out of options.
Yeah, I think this is it.
I think he's up.
You got to keep him or get rid of him now.
And I don't think they'll get rid of him.
Now, it's gonna
unless they trade him. They wouldn't send him through waivers.
This is going to be some crucial hockey in the next week or so, just to see if we can get if we can steal a win. I'm not looking obviously forward to Friday. That's probably going to be a loss. We're going to fall under 500 for the first time. But Sunday should be a win. You should be able to beat Buffalo. You should be able to beat the Devils, and then you get back home against a redemption game against the Canadiens. I mean, you could win 3 out of 4. It's possible, but. The Red Wings got to get something going.
Wishful thinking.
It is wishful thinking, but it isn't realistic. But it's still wishful thinking.
You're optimistic.
And it's optimistic. but in hockey, I feel like you can get hot anytime in hockey.
It's true.
Baseball's the same way. I think hockey and baseball are the two sports where you can be low in the dumps, you can be the lowest of lows, and then just a few games you can be on a huge roll. So we'll see what happens. Lashlow's got to light a fire under their asses somehow, and obviously jumbling up the lines 2 and 3 games in a row is not going to do it, but you got to decide on who your number one goalie is going to be. Because
Gotta be Howard right now.
Because Howard has to be that guy. I hate to say it, but Mrazek is the scapegoat. It's not all his fault, but like you touched on, his rebound control has got to improve. It has to. It was never like that. I feel like him and Howard swapped that trait because Howard was bad.
He does not look comfortable between the.
And Howard was.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He just looks like he's rattled.
Howard was a guy that gave up juicy rebounds.
Yeah, no confidence back there.
They've swapped their confidence levels from last year because Howard was juicy rebounds. Mrazek was more calm and cool in the net, and that's why he won the starting job over Jimmy. But Jimmy's rejuvenated himself. He's definitely, at 32, 33 years old, he's definitely showing that he is proving to be a number one, but he's also showcasing some talent from his past that he could be.
Wings might win Friday if Howard stands on his head.
Wow.
And he puts up a brick wall. Stones them all night.
You're
Wings
looking,
will win 2-1 or something.
That's what I was going to say. You're looking at 2-1 or 1-0 victory, something around that range. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be a tough road for at least the next couple of games. But we'll see what happens. All right, moving on to Tigers baseball rumor mill. This has been the hot topic in Detroit's news in the last few days. Right now, there's been a little bit of false alarms and some false information. At first, we thought Ian Kinsler was on his way to the Dodgers, but it's not official. Nothing's been finalized. They were trying to work out a deal. They've been in talks the last couple of days. But as of right now, Ian Kinsler has not signed with the Dodgers just yet. But he will be on his way out. Because what was the details of his contract? He waived his no-trade clause, or he's willing
to waive his no-trade clause
if he gets an extension.
He doesn't want, he wants something more concrete. He wants long-term
stability.
deal.
You don't want to play for the Dodgers one season and then be elsewhere.
Yeah, free agent.
So, Tigers got a good bargaining chip right now. Kinsler's okay with being traded to the Dodgers if the Dodgers pick up his option.
And he's one of the best second basemen in the league last year.
Just came off of his first ever Gold Glove. I mean, the guy had pretty close to a career year last year, which you hate losing guys like that.
The ceiling for him is closing.
It is.
It really is at his age.
For him is shut.
It's getting to be that point where you're going to see the digression.
And
everybody's going to start.
DH. He'll be DH and probably
can't have him DH when you got Cabrera here.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's Cabrera's long-term position.
If Cabrera's
because Cabrera's unmovable because of that contract. No one wants to take Cabrera's big contract. Are you kidding me?
Unless you give him JD with him.
You gotta have to package. I was thinking.
No, you're gonna have to take half of Cabrera's salary. That's the only way the Tigers are able to trade.
But then why trade him? Because if you're gonna eat his contract,
they're not gonna trade him.
No, I think JD's next to go on the chopping block, and it's unfortunate because he's been my Tiger since he's been here. But
personally, I would try to look at getting Upton out before I got JD because Upton is a very streaky, big time strikeout. JD is a more cheaper asset who long term I think will be a better guy to stay around Detroit because I think he's very popular. I think he's just more well liked. I think he's going to come at a much cheaper price than Upton will. Upton, obviously, you know how much he's making, and you know what you're going to get out of Upton.
The problem with Upton is they oversign him. No one's going to want that contract either for the value of the player.
That's what I said.
I mean, Avila really. I don't know if you want to call it choked or panicked, but he won a World Series, but he had such a flawed team, he didn't realize it, and he thought signing a left fielder to $90 bajillion for a guy who's going to hit 250 in his career is worth it. It's not.
Yeah, he turned it on the second half, but that first half was just atrocious to watch him at the plate. Absolutely,
I still don't think it would have changed us making the playoffs or not, though.
No, I don't think so.
Do you think that if we were to get rid of JD, you think they could package Pelfrey's deal with it?
No.
You don't think anybody's going to take that?
No.
It's a shame because we really.
I read something. I think it was on Score Mobile or CBS Sports. There are teams that are actually interested in both Sanchez and Pelfrey.
Sanchez, I can kind of get it for a National League team.
Obviously, you're going to get little to no in return for them.
You're going to get
but
very
that'd be
little.
fine with me just getting him out of here.
You think moving to the National League would make any difference for Pelfrey?
For Sanchez, yes. Pelfrey, no.
There's no hope for Pelfrey.
I think Sanchez would actually be a better pitcher than that now.
Well,
I think Sanchez could win 10-plus games.
With a mid ERA of maybe
You send him back to Miami where he started, I think he could have some success because he's out of the limelight. he goes into Miami and he kind of.
I mean, he was able to carry the workload when he had the lowest ERA, or was it the most strikeouts or lowest ERA?
Lowest ERA.
Yeah.
ERA title.
Yeah, he had the ERA title just 2 years ago, and now you see what he's done. But so
he gave up 4 or 5 home runs that season.
He can play up to his potential when he's healthy and when he's on his game and when he has everything working for him. But just something has felt right the last 2 years for Sanchi, and it's unfortunate.
Here's the thing: if you can get him out of here, even if you get little or no return, just get that contract out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Pelfrey, whether someone takes him or not, is probably not going to be a starter anymore. He's going to be a long-term bullpen pitcher if you need him from the 3rd to the 6th or something like that. But if you can get them out of here, because there's really no room for them. They're not going to be starting in our rotation next year. Our starting rotation is set. Maybe Sanchez would be a 5th guy in our rotation if they really wanted him there. But Pelfrey, he'd be just a long bullpen pitcher, and the money we gave him is not really worth that either.
Or you could just rebirth your career somewhere else. I mean, Pelfrey was never anybody to look at anyway, but
he was really highly touted prospect when the Mets drafted.
If someone called me for Sanchez or Pelfrey, I'd give him away for a AA player. I really wouldn't care.
Yeah, just to get him out of here. But, hey, how many times has it been proven to see that former Detroit Tigers players leave here and they become superstars? And that brings us to Rick Porcello. Congrats to Rick Porcello for winning his first career Cy Young, hedging out Justin Verlander just by a few votes.
I don't know if I'd call him a superstar.
I
call him a pitcher with a lot of runs scored.
You're going to call him a one-hit wonder, is what you're going to call him.
Because,
and I don't mean that to be disrespectful, but I want to go on
I feel like that's another reason he won.
And I was looking forward to this decision on who was going to get it, because I think 4 guys, I know a lot of people don't agree with giving Britton a Cy Young, but obviously a few writers did, because Britton got some votes.
He did get some votes, yeah.
He did get a few. Obviously, he wasn't going to win it because a lot of people are very stubborn about the whole reliever can't win the Cy Young award.
I mean, I think
if Eric Gagne couldn't win it many years ago, then no one's going to win it. No one's going to touch that. Rivera, same way.
I said
if
Rivera
or Gagne can't win the Cy Young, forget it.
Well, you can throw K-Rod in there when he had 62 saves.
When he was lights out with the Angels, yes. So you're not as good as he was, Britton was, he's not going to take the cake.
No.
But the biggest thing is right now, is that AL Cy Young, and it's trending worldwide, obviously, with Kate Upton's comments, and we can dig into that in a second. But I know we're all Justin Verlander, Detroit Tigers guys in this room.
Slappies.
But I'm not I can put it in perspective and say that for a fact that Porcello did not deserve this award over Verlander.
No.
If you look at statistically, as it stands, Porcello has Verlander in wins.
And ERA, barely.
No. Verlander had ERA.
Oh, what was it, 3.11 for Verlander?
Chad's got it.
Verlander had 3.04.
Oh, that's right. He did
Porcello's 3.50.
The run support.
And the only reason why it was over 3 was that 5 spot he gave up.
Here it is. Porcello had, or comparing both of them, Porcello only won the category statistically that a pitcher can't solely control. Verlander had more games started, more innings pitched, more strikeouts. He led the AL in strikeouts. He had the lowest ERA out of the 2. I think he had one of the lowest ERAs in the league.
Yes.
WHIP went to Justin Verlander. BAA, I don't know what that is. You know what BAA is?
Batting
average. I don't know. Anyway, that went to JV.
Balls against. It's balls against.
Average.
I'm not sure what that is.
Whatever. JV won it, and then JV won WAR. Okay, and then run support and wins. Porcello had.
And
Porcello won the Cy Young.
Run support is where I want to talk about this, because Rick Porcello was in every start that he had 8.2 runs a game he got. JV got 3.2.
Well, Boston had this. I still think Mookie Betts is going to win the MVP. So Boston had the MVP playing offense for him.
I'm gonna
get out of here.
Stroke my little ego.
But anyway, I mean,
come on, Altuve.
It's so not questionable that JV had the better stats, and it's not even coming from a hometown guy.
No.
Wins should not factor in. Yeah. Verlander should have had a win in his last game. There's at least 5 games I can remember where he should have had a win and had a no decision.
We said this. JV should have won at least 20 games this year.
It was ridiculous. And the fact that he lost for the second closest in Cy Young history, he also holds the record for the closest to David Price a couple of years ago.
He's a 2-time Cy Young winner, right?
No, 1.
He's only won one.
He
Verlander?
could be 3.
He honestly
he should have. Been 3, yeah.
And I'm
Max
not
Scherzer
taking,
has
The
3.
2 he lost were the 2 closest
discredit
votes in
away.
history.
You can't discredit Rick Porcello's season. He had a good
Yeah.
season. But the fact of the matter is, looking at the whole numbers, I don't know, a lot of writers are all about the wins. It seems to be that is what
Listen, ERA and strikeouts.
Porcello won on a flawed system. He won because A, I solely believe because of the wins, and B, because his team made the playoffs.
And they shouldn't even factor that
And
in.
that should not be factored
No,
in
it
at all.
shouldn't.
And they
It should
probably
be-
looked at the fact where,
I'm glad they didn't do that
Kluber
for
and Verlander.
Kluber. No.
Kluber and Verlander both have Cy Youngs. You know what?
But Kluber
They're
also
probably
won
going to
the
be back next
Verlander
year.
finished second to Porcello. So Kluber, I mean, he went to the World Series and didn't make it.
But that shouldn't be it's not supposed to be factored.
It's ridiculous that
No.
22 wins get you. I mean, that's great. You won 22 times out there, but when your team scored 8 runs a game for you, it's
But I also
it's hard to lose.
I look back in like I think it was 2000 and I think it was like 2010, the year that King Felix won. He was 13-12, but his ERA was like 2.60, and he had like 260 strikeouts.
Well, Seattle was absolutely awful. But the fact is
Every
fifth day he took the mound, you knew that you were
gonna win.
gonna probably be in that game. Whether Seattle's bullpen blew it or they just didn't score any runs.
But
for
obviously
them.
he got no run support because he only had one more loss to his win credit. But I don't like the whole system of the fact that basically he won because of his team. I feel like the Cy Young is
it should be an individual.
It's an individual me award, and I feel like the stats need to be looked at solely based off of what your team gets you. But you have to also go out there and you have to perform. I mean, he could have had a lower ERA, I feel like. I mean, 3.15 is not bad at all.
No.
But if his ERA was like around like 2.70, 2.80, I feel like, okay, he probably would have beaten out Verlander. But Verlander
I just
had
feel when you have more games started and more innings pitched and your ERA is still lower, you should be winning that award over someone who had fewer innings pitched and has a higher ERA.
And you know who's going to like this one, though? You know who's going to like this award more than anybody is Dave Dombrowski. Because Dave Dombrowski was the one that gave him a $3.5 million signing bonus right out of high school. Yeah. And now he's the GM of Boston. So you've managed this guy for 2 different teams.
It also shows you how good Tigers pitchers were. I mean, you had Porcello, Verlander, and Scherzer. They were your top 3 guys.
Tigers winning awards.
Yes.
Yeah, Rick Porcello. You have Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer was absolutely dominant this year.
You won't even know Rick Porcello after next season.
And Rick Porcello is going to be a guy that it was not great long term. I don't see Rick Porcello ever winning 20 games whatsoever again.
No.
But he's going to be a guy that's going to hang around Boston for a long time. Boston's going to have a good team for years to come. With David Price. David Price had one bad year. But next year, David Price is going to be back to David Price's old ways. Just wait and see. I'll call that right now. Yes, David Ortiz is gone. But I think Boston.
Run support gone right there, yeah.
I think Verlander will win the Cy Young next year, though. I'm going to make that bold prediction right now.
You think that'll be Verlander's last year?
He's going to be so. I mean,
you got to come and think of it this way.
He's going to have a chip on his shoulder.
Is with Kate Upton going on Twitter, and I know we're going to get into this.
Can we quote the exact tweet?
Is Kate Upton is standing behind her man, which
it's a huge turn on. All of us guys kind of were like, oh man, like boing. But Kate Upton, literally minutes after they announced Porcello beat out Verlander.
You want me to read it?
Please do.
All right, so Kate Upton.
Uncensored.
This is the language explicit
5 minutes after they announced it, comes out, hey, at MLB, I thought I was the only one person allowed to F Justin Verlander, question mark. What 2 writers didn't have them on their ballot? As we later found out, they were both, I think, Tampa writers. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what that's all about.
Is this a conspiracy theory against Justin Verlander?
I don't know what it would be. I mean, really, it also, I think, cost Justin Verlander a free dinner from Michael Fulmer because they actually, back on November 7th, Verlander and Michael Fulmer bet each other whoever won would get dinner on the other. And it looks like Fulmer's going to get the free dinner. It's going to cost Justin
Fulmer
Verlander.
won the Rookie of the Year, hands down. And I know a lot of Yankees fans might think Gary Sanchez deserves that award.
Nah, you got to play more games.
But you played 2 months. For gosh sakes.
I'm sorry, you can't.
Right.
Reevaluate yourself.
He barely played the minimum amount of games to be eligible for that award. So I'm glad that Fulmer deserved it more than anybody else. He tailed off during the end of the season a little bit, but full season under Fulmer, I think Fulmer and Verlander will be gutting it out for wins next year. I mean, if they I think they're both going to be 15 plus wins next year. That's a bold prediction.
15 wins.
I think 15
Fulmer
wins.
and Verlander both.
I think it's
Verlander is not a lock to stay here.
I know that, but he hasn't been in the trade mill as much as guys like Kinsler, JD. Upton, and even Miggy. Miggy's been they haven't really thrown Verlander's name in the trade mill as much as they have the others.
I'm going to go on a limb right here and say this. And now I was kind of all for trading Justin Verlander about a week or so ago. But now that this has come out and this Cy Young award has now been awarded and Kate Upton's all fired up, Justin Verlander's sitting right now in Rome, Italy saying, those mother bleepers. I'm going to prove everybody wrong next year, and he's going to go out there next year, fire under his ass, and absolutely destroy the American League next year.
You're saying
I think
now.
I'm going to call it right now. Justin Verlander is going to be...
You're on Facebook Live right now.
I want
so
Justin
it's gonna be
Verlander
here.
out there next season. Want to know why? I want him as a Detroit Tiger because now he's got a fire under his ass. He's motivated. Justin Verlander is kind of an arrogant guy. I don't know him personally.
But he can back his mouth up.
He does.
And he's restructured his game.
Is,
I
yeah.
mean,
He has.
He's not the guy, I'm going to go out there and throw 99 on my first pitch and throw it again in the 7th inning before I go out. He works his way up now, but he is firing 97-mile-an-hour fastballs in the 7th inning to get people out. And he really restructured and retooled his game.
He restructured his velocity because he's not a 100-mile-an-hour fireballer. That would have blown his arm out long ago. He restructured himself. And honestly... Have they announced AL Comeback Player of the Year yet? Because you can throw. I think it's safe to say that you could throw Justin Verlander into that mix.
They'll give him that award just so they'll be like, "Oh, look, Kate, we're going to give Justin Comeback Player of the Year award."
Kind of a sympathetic.
Here's a little
vote.
salty award for you.
Justin Verlander last year. You have to remember he only played. Let's see here, 20 games last year. He missed a lot of the year with injury. He went 5-8 with an ERA of 3.38. He still wasn't. He
was
bad.
only good in the last month of the season.
But his last 2 years have been pretty lackluster. I mean, he hasn't made an All-Star game since 2013. Even that year, he went 13-12. But 2014, he went 15-12. But his ERA was over 4.50.
That's the year he really struggled.
Yeah, it was a really strugglesome year, and his strikeout ratio.
He just could score a lot of runs.
Yeah, he only had 159 strikeouts, so his ratio was down. But and last year was injury riddled.
He's back to dominant JV. A lot of his numbers he had this year were comparable to his Cy Young numbers.
Yes.
I mean, he's back and he's healthy. And I agree with I forgot who said it on the MLB Network earlier when I was watching the reveal, but I do agree he's the best high-low pitcher in the MLB. He can go upstairs and go right downstairs. I mean, he's tough to read as a batter. He's really tough to read. Yeah,
this is the third time in 7 years that he's been a Cy Young finalist. And he has only won it one time, so that's unfortunate. But with JV, I like the idea of bringing him back next year because I feel like next year is going to probably be that last year that he has a really lights-out season. If the team plays ahead of him, if they give him run support, in order for him to win a potential 17, 18, or 19, or even close to 20 games next year, his run support has to go up to at least 4.
Oh, yeah.
I think if you get JV 4 runs in a game, you've got about a good 80% chance of winning that game. But he'll be 34 next year. And right around the age of 33 to 35 is when your numbers start to really decline. And we thought we saw the last of Musty JV after the last 2 seasons, but this year
it is worrisome, but
Yeah.
I just really believe that after not winning the Cy Young, and obviously your woman going on Twitter and basically saying that you're screwed over in a not so polite
He got some
way.
good sex
You know
tonight,
what?
though.
Here's what separates
And a
Justin
steak dinner.
Verlander.
I bet he's eating a steak
Oh,
dinner
yeah.
in the bedroom right now.
In Rome?
He stays
yeah.
hungry. He stays in shape. Like, he could have totally, oh, I'm done after the 2 bad years he had. No, he wanted to come back.
He cut weight.
He wants a ring.
Yeah,
you can tell he's hungry.
I don't think he's given up on the Tigers. I think he loves this city. I call him the Steve Eisenman of Detroit Tigers.
I'll tell you what, not a lot of people believe in the Detroit Tigers this upcoming year, but if they can do this right, they already have, I think, what's going to be one of the better starting rotations in the American League, let alone maybe baseball.
Correct.
If they can retool this some way where, even if they get rid
I
of
like
Kinsler,
your word there. Retool, not rebuild.
Build,
I don't
right.
want, everybody's saying, oh, the Tigers' season's already over, and it hasn't even started. No, just because you cut Ian Kinsler doesn't mean it's over.
Right.
I
Well,
think
if
if you lose Kinsler and JD, I don't think it's a rebuild.
If you have good pitching, that's like having a good defense in football. The Denver Broncos are 7-3 right now, but their offense ain't worth a crap.
Well, look at the 06 team. Did anybody think they would go to the World Series with that offense?
Look at the Cleveland Indians.
Yes.
Riddled with injuries.
Yes.
Somehow find a way to the World Series.
And the pitching did it.
But I mean,
the pitching got him there.
if you can have good, solid pitching, and you can rely on someone to go between 6 and 7 innings, and then you have 2 or 3 guys that can clean up on the bullpen on most nights. I mean, I think we already have that 9th inning guy in K-Rod.
And then
you just got to find a
add-
7th and an 8th inning guy.
But what are your thoughts if we were able to drop somebody like, if we end up getting rid of Kinsler's contract, if you free up some cap space to make one more final run, do you go after a guy like Chapman? Do you try to go after Chapman, make him your closer, and move K-Rod to the setup spot?
No, I'd mentioned about this earlier, and
he's going to want a boatload of money.
He is, and he's not going to come here. Want to know why? Because he's going to want to stay with the Cubs, or he's going to want to go back to the
more
Yankees.
bling bling.
These people, a lot of players want markets. You know, let's be honest, a lot of talent in Detroit across all sports. If they're a star here, they were drafted, a.k.a. Kelvin Johnson, Matt Stafford, Pavel Datsyuk, Henrik Zetterberg. Okay, so we got Miguel Cabrera in a trade. I mean, but Verlander, he's always been in our system.
Homegrown, yeah.
Very rarely do you get a superstar here that you brought in from free agency or traded.
Yeah.
A lot of the Detroit superstars we've had have been either homegrown, drafted, or, brought via trade, which a lot of players don't have a say in.
Barry Sanders, was he drafted by the Lions?
Yes.
Okay, homegrown. I feel like football, homegrown talent, the Lions, I mean, they have to cut it out because the fan base, they'd be so heartbroken. Yeah, Matthew Stafford. Well, I'm talking about even back in the day. Rodney Peete, 1991.
Yeah, I mean, the Lions have had some really, good players come from free agent signings, but no one that you look back and saying, you're going to remember this guy forever.
Yeah, normally other than homegrown talent or guys that were drafted here, guys that we got from trade or via free agency, they only stay for about 2 or 3 years and then they move on. If either they win a championship, look at the 2002 Red Wing team. Right. Brett Hall, Luke Robitaille, Dominic
that was
Hasek.
back in the day when you could just
free spend,
when you could just go out there.
If we couldn't win a cup, and we almost didn't. We almost lost in the first round of Vancouver, but we woke our asses up. But with that team though, that was golden. It'll go down as one of the most prominent, hardcore teams of
you'll never see a team like that again.
No, you won't.
But
closest you're going to get is the Blackhawks.
Yeah. But look at Dominic
Hasek.
Split
too.
Dominic Hasek, he stayed on for only a couple of years. Well, he retired, then he came back. Brett Hall, 2 seasons. Luke Robitaille, 2 seasons. So they moved on. Those were our big superstars back in that era. But at the same token, with the Tigers, you got Justin Verlander, and I feel like he's been your Steve Eisenman, your face of the franchise.
It's well known. The biggest fan of this city, I am a Detroit Lions fan. That will be the team I will live and die for. Yeah. I love all the teams, but you know what? There's something some players make you feel, and Justin Verlander is one of those players. It would be very sad to see him go because he's always been. He's
a community guy.
He brought the Tigers into contention in 2006. He was a big difference maker.
He was drafted in 2005, so he didn't really get to experience failure until the later years of we missed the playoffs in 2008, I believe it was.
But for the most part, when he's been here, we've been a successful team. We've been a contender.
He's not used to failure, but now he's starting to kind of go and experience some of humbleness a little bit. Now we haven't made the playoffs the last 2 seasons.
There's some players that are you're on their side. You don't want to see them not in a uniform of your hometown. And that's the way I feel about JV and some other players.
I was listening to 97 Won the Ticket the other day, and it was, Karsh and Anderson, and they were talking.
God bless you.
I know. Well, during that time of day, I
not allowed to listen to.
No, but they were getting some call-ins, and some of the call-ins were just making me crack up because a lot of people were talking. This is when Miguel Cabrera's name was really heavy in the trade rumors, and they were saying. Some people were saying, I don't want Miguel to be traded because, fans won't come to Detroit. He's going to lose fan base. And I just remember Karsh kept getting so mad because he's like, I don't come to Detroit Tiger games to see Miguel Cabrera. I come to see a winning team. If this team, even if we had Miguel Cabrera and we're 20 games under 500, you saw what happened this year. And last year, when we were way out of the playoff contention, fans stopped showing up. I'm not saying that we're fair weather fans, but we're passionate about winning.
Tigers fans
They are. We're spoiled.
Listen,
We've been spoiled.
There's no
Wings
doubt.
fans are too.
There's no doubt.
But Wings fans still come to games. They saw it the joke.
In sports in all cities, you're a fan of a team, but there are specific players that draw you to come see games.
He has the highest in jersey sales, I'm sure, of any Tiger
Miguel
player.
and Verlander are the reason you go see the Tigers. When Verlander's pitching, you usually get a bigger crowd than on most other days. You went to see the Lions when they were awful to see Kelvin Johnson. Back in the day, you went to see Barry Sanders. You didn't technically go to see the Detroit Lions.
No. And why are people going to the Joe this year? Because the last season of the Joe, and people from all over the world are coming to see the Joe.
I wouldn't go
Louis
that
Arena.
far, but all over the country,
so.
maybe?
I would say all over the country, yes.
Actually,
Canada and
in my sports management class, one of the ticket reps for the Red Wings came in, and he said he's got people with season ticket packages in Chicago, Indiana, Ohio.
We at one point, I don't know if we're still that team, but at one point, I'm talking back in the 90s when we were making the playoffs, when we were a dynasty and just control of the league. We had probably the most steadiest fan base that would travel. We would go.
I still think we have a great traveling fan
base. I still think we do, and it's crazy to see that because I feel like maybe teams like Chicago or Pittsburgh would maybe overshadow that because they've now become the new dynasty of the new era. But the Red Wings still have a very loyal fan base.
Yeah, well, when you're original six and when you've been good for really as long as the Red Wings have,
100 years,
you're going to have a good fan base.
You got a rich history here, and now you got to create a whole new, years of memories and history at the new Joe Louis Arena.
If the Red Wings, I'll say it like I did with the Tigers, I'll use the retool. If Holland wakes up and fixes it before it's too late, you can retool this team. It's not past saving yet, but it's very close to hitting that line where you will have to rebuild if you don't fix something probably after this season.
If you were smart like Kenny Holland and you were preparing for...
Say smart like Kenny Holland?
Well, if you were smart like he should be.
Kenny
Holland used to be smart, not so much anymore. He's lost some brain cells as he's aged.
I don't know what's going on with his mental makeup, but he's losing it.
He used to be one of the smartest. He was like Dave Dombrowski. He used to make the best moves. Yeah, but you know what?
I'll say it and I'll keep saying it. Kenny Holland was most successful when there's no salary cap. It's easy to go get a guy when you can pay him an unlimited salary. You can't anymore.
And you had Neil next to you, and you had all these other guys. You had Bowman around you. You had a lot of guys with good hockey minds, and that you could
good
just
scouts
go.
Too.
And you could just go, Robitaille? Yeah, okay, yeah. Hull? Yeah,
Hull,
okay,
yeah.
I don't doubt Kenny knows what he's talking about. I just don't think he really knows how to be a general manager when you can't sign people.
He's not a good money manager,
Out of touch.
Especially when you gave Zetterberg and Helm and Eriksson these unreal contracts.
I think that as he's kind of going into the twilight of his general managing career, I see him only probably staying here for the next year or two. He'll open up the new season, a new arena, and hopefully retire into the sunset, and we start fresh. But I feel like he is so into this youth movement, but you still have a hard time letting go of some of your homegrown talent.
He's so into the youth movement because he loves that Grand Rapids is one of the best teams in the minor leagues.
The Red Wings have one of the best farm systems in all of hockey.
He just doesn't use them.
No, you can't utilize them, and that's the thing is that it's nice to see guys like Mantha and Anthony Nacio up here. Tyler Bertuzzi for a cup of coffee just to kind of get his skates wet, whatever you want to say. He didn't get enough ice time. The guy was a -2 in 2 games, only had 2 shots on goal. He didn't get any ice time. What was he getting, like 5 or 6 minutes a game?
I don't ever wish injuries upon people, but when this might be the only way that this is possible, because you're not just gonna waive people. But I would love to see 2 or 3 of our defensemen go down. That way we have to bring 2 or 3 of these young guys up and just see what they do.
Well,
just see what they do.
Well, I know
they can't be any worse.
We got good offensive talent in Grand Rapids, but who's our top defenseman in Grand Rapids?
Probably Ouellette
or Russo.
How about Ryan Sproul getting his first goal last night?
Ryan Sproul has a booming shot.
We were just talking about that too. Chris
I'm gonna look up Grand Rapids roster because I do not know a whole lot about Grand Rapids.
I don't know about their defense.
Sproul should not be coming off the ice. Like he should always be starting.
And Xavier Ouellette, when Cronwall came back and they basically benched Ouellette and Sproul, I was like, oh my god, Sproul is amazing. And I hated
big hulking.
I was trying to figure out who Marchenko was for like the first 5 games of the season.
Marchenko
he changed his number. I was like, who is Marchenko? Who's 53? Oh, it's Marchenko.
Wasn't he 40?
He was 47.
All right, so here's the problem, guys. I'm looking at the Griffins roster right now. All right, besides one of these names on this list, pinch me if you know one of these guys. Joe Hicketts.
No.
Nathan Pestich.
No.
Robbie Russo.
Robbie Russo, I know.
Nick Janis.
Yes.
Brian Lashoff.
Yes.
I know Lashoff.
Dan Renoff. Connor Allen.
That's it.
That is your defenseman.
I've never been a fan of Lashoff.
They're all young guys.
And
listen, Russo...
Nathan Patch and Brian Lashoff. Wow, Patch? Dude, that guy's like 38.
Born in 83?
What's Russo's size?
Russo is 6 foot.
6 foot. Okay, yeah, he's the undersized
they're
one.
Big defensemen though. You got.
Well, Russo plays bigger than his size. Like he's actually a pretty physical defenseman. That's why I've been wanting him to come up for a while.
A little younger, 93 birth.
I feel like Lashoff never could come into his own up here.
Lashoff is just a waste of talent.
It's a shame because he's such big size too.
No, I'm looking at this.
I would like to see Russo be like a third line guy for us. Just bring him up. I mean, you can send him down if he doesn't work out. It's a name.
It sounds like it's a good hockey
funny
name.
Looking at these guys on this roster. Dylan Sedway, he was a big draft. He was a high draft pick from the Wings this past season.
Double R to double A.
Eric Tangredi, remember him?
Oh yeah. Mitch Callahan.
Mitch Callahan. No, Daniel Cleary.
Dan Cleary, the
guy that you'd hope you never see up
guy.
here.
Look at this. The
If
oldest
I
guy
ever
on the
see Dan
roster.
Cleary in a wing uniform,
Dan
I might
Cleary,
not watch hockey.
38 years
season.
old, the oldest guy on the roster. What's Daniel Cleary? He is number 11 again. He got his number 11 back.
Well, he said at the beginning of the season he was just going to help the young guys out.
What's his current
He said he doesn't
stats?
expect to come
I gotta
up to
look at Daniel
Detroit.
Cleary.
Dan Cleary's statistics right now.
No games. He's not played one game yet this year. What is he doing down there?
He's probably
holding out.
He's probably pretty much coaching. Like
He's
he's
got-
not dressing. He's just on the
His
bench.
salary's got to be like $200,000 right
Scored
now.
3 goals in 35 games last
I'd
season.
take $200,000 sit on the bench.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
What's going to end up happening is whether we're in the playoffs or not, they'll probably dress
Yeah.
Cleary for like one of the last games of the Red Wings
Stop.
season.
Stop.
Yeah, but you know that's
Stop
what
it.
Ken Holland's going to do.
Yeah, I know.
Don't look at me like I'm stupid.
God almighty.
Painful.
Dan Cleary will always have that 2011 season where it was a fluke. He had 26 goals and be done with it.
Dan Cleary's an all-star.
Danny.
He will go
Daniel,
down in
whatever.
Detroit sports history. It's
Don't
one of
know
the
his own
best.
name. Anywho, moving on from hockey.
Yes.
Where are we going next, guys? Where are we going
Why don't we
next?
go football? Because we were starting to talk about Lions a little bit there.
Detroit Lions?
And the Lions, hey, why don't we go on a bye week every week? Because it obviously puts us in first place. The Lions hold the tiebreaker over the Vikings. The Vikings lost again. The Packers lost again. The Bears lost again.
Packers are below 500.
Packers are below 500, and yet I've been hearing people say that they will still pull this division out.
And here's really good news for the Lions. DeAndre Levy
Practice
practiced today.
I heard that.
Now, he's not
Yes.
expected to be back for Jacksonville, but they're expecting
Turkey
him back
Day.
for Thanksgiving.
Turkey Day.
Which
How
is
about that?
huge.
I will be thankful for that.
I will be so thankful.
Oh, how
See what I did
cliche
there?
there.
I will be thankful for
So
Levy.
cliche over there, Derek Partin. My goodness. So I'm going to ask my football friend over here
Well, that's me.
to the right.
Good.
Oh.
The 2-7 Jaguars.
So what do you got going
Well,
in?
you know, this is a game that scares me to death because we are the Detroit Lions and we don't win
it.
games we're supposed to. Hence,
SOL.
And we also and we also fall apart. We fall apart when basically the division is handed to us.
Listen, out of the bye week, you're at home. You're playing one of the worst teams in the league.
Take the division.
This is a game I'd hope we win. That's not in the last minute of the game. Like I want to be winning this game by 17 going
Lions
into the fourth
right
quarter.
now-
And Matthew Stafford's sitting there in his tennis shoes.
We're only
I
a
don't care
seven-
if he's in the game or not, but I'd like to be running the ball.
Currently, the
you
Lions
know?
are a 9-point favorite in this game.
Wow.
That's a lot.
It
That
is
is
a
kinda
I
lot.
would think
lot.
6.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm a betting
Yeah.
man, I would not put the
75.6%
Tough one.
chance the Lions win this game, according to MSN.com.
Listen, the Jaguars haven't forced a turnover in 5 games.
Uh-oh.
The Lions defense should get a couple turnovers this game. Julius Thomas is still a really good tight end, so that matchup scares me because tight ends have killed the Lions all year. So, I mean, I won't take anything away from Jacksonville in terms of their offense actually has some pretty good players, but defensively we should not have a problem moving the ball.
You know
on this
what's
team.
funny is, other than giveaways, both of these teams are pretty evenly matched as far as offense is concerned. I know the records don't speak for it, but points per game, to 22.8 for the Lions, 19.3 for the Jags. Yards per game, the Jags actually have us beat 343 to 337.
Here's where statistics lie a little bit.
Okay.
Blake Bortles is Mr. Garbage Time, what we used to call Stafford essentially, and I won't say it's his fault because you're not going to just
How many
see the game.
receptions does he have this year?
I think
Blake
it's
Bortles?
9 or 8.
Oh God, he's got to be
He's
top of the
high.
list.
But,
Here's
you know, it's just we can go back to a couple games. I forgot who they were playing, but it was the Thursday night game a couple weeks ago against Tennessee.
Yeah.
They were getting killed in that game. They ended up only losing by 10, but the whole fourth quarter was just like, I'm throwing
And-
deep balls.
Yep, and
Tennessee's not trying anymore.
And that's exactly where I fear for the Lions, because I feel like this is going to be a game where it's going to be like 10-10 at halftime, and it's going to go all the way to the fourth quarter, and we're going to win like 21-10 or something, or 21-17. It's going to be something like that, and I feel like this is our best opportunity, if not the only opportunity, for us to blow a team out this
It's
year.
one of those games where you have,
You have
to win.
to.
You kind of want to
you're at
silence
home,
your critics.
You
a
are
little
going to be
bit.
so refreshed. You're going to be so pumped up.
You're going to have guys back from injury.
Oh,
Darius
yeah.
Slay is going to be
Slay.
back. Riley Reef's going to be back. Brandon
Washington.
Pettigrew is going to be back.
Are you any
I
concerned
don't know
about
if
the
Washington
whole
will be
week
active.
off layoff?
No,
Kinda getting
I feel
a
like
little bit,
No.
I feel like this was perfect timing for it to happen.
When you're in week 9, I don't have a problem with giving people the week off because you want to rest up. You want to mentally be refreshed, physically you want to feel a little bit better than because it's a tough game. You know you don't feel good after playing in the NFL. So to give a week off, I mean, what's an extra week of practice since Jacksonville really going to change? It's.
I feel like this is the only statistic that I'm seeing as far as the season stats go where we differ from Jacksonville. Detroit has 6 takeaways, Jacksonville 19. Or, I'm sorry, giveaways. 6 giveaways to 19 giveaways.
Yeah, Detroit has the second fewest giveaways in the
Yes.
NFL.
What?
Erase that. Your little error there. That
What?
was painful.
What happened?
Now, the Lions go ahead and crap the bed this week. That's the biggest concern. Is because I know it's going to be the same old Lions.
Stop.
People will be calling all over the news, and everybody will be going, well, the playoffs are done. One week you got the first place, and oh, look, the Packers won.
If we lose to Jacksonville, which would be just devastating for this fan base, it doesn't knock you out of the playoffs because you could still
if you go back and beat
Thursday,
Minnesota,
you break that. You currently hold the tiebreaker for the year, and then you got to hope that you got to beat Green Bay and Detroit.
You're not out of it, but you're not feeling good. And at the same time, Minnesota is playing Arizona at home, and Green Bay's on the road at Washington. You can get a nice little
2
separation in this division race right now, and then you go play Minnesota on Thursday, which Minnesota, I'm not going to say they're a bad football team, but you should still beat Minnesota, especially at home.
Norv Turner got out the right time, apparently.
Yeah,
My
apparently.
God, you lost 3. But, at the same token, I think right now with the way it looks, if you go in and you demolish, I don't want to say demolish, but if you convincingly beat Jacksonville and Green Bay and the Vikings lose again, you're in the catbird seat. And basically, if you blow this division, then shame on you. I mean, it's basically that. That's what I look at it.
Here's how I look at it. They are in the driver's seat. It'd be so nice to get a home playoff game and stuff.
Host it, yeah.
goodness.
Our first home game, playoff game.
I'm going to be realistic, and
Uh-oh.
the 4 teams in this division, well, the Bears are absolutely ass. There's no
they're
question about
done.
that.
They can play.
But
They can play spoiler.
Green Bay, Minnesota, and Detroit, they are not good football teams. They are average football teams at best. You have Stafford, who is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. That's the only reason the Lions are 5-4.
Mm-hmm.
You have Minnesota, who has a good defense. That's the only reason they're 5-4. And Green Bay, I don't know how they're 4-5. They're
So
terrible.
on paper, we know that the Lions, they could easily be 7-2, or they could be 2-7.
They could be 0-9.
Or
for all I'm
they
concerned.
could be 0-9. So on paper, based off of what you see, I mean, obviously you're paying more attention to the Lions game because they're your home team. But if you look at on paper versus the Lions, Minnesota and Green Bay, who is the better team out of the 3?
Well, I think the Lions are the better team when you put it all together.
Like
well,
head-to-head.
Healthy-wise, I'd say Minnesota, but obviously
We lost to one
riddled
and we beat
by
one.
injuries.
We lost one and we beat one.
Right now,
What Aaron Rodgers is going to show up and play.
with the active roster of the people who are healthy and available, I'd say the Lions have the best roster. They have the best offense by far, I think.
Best
And then,
quarterback.
Yeah. Defensively, I'd still put Minnesota has the better defense.
Special teams.
Special teams, actually, Detroit's played well special teams. But,
You got the Prater.
defense.
Give that man a drink.
Well, Sam Martin's been a really good punter, too.
Yeah.
And, what's his name? Roberts. He has a punt return for a touchdown. He's had a couple good games. But anyway, when you look at it on paper, I would still give the Lions the edge. But what scares me is I feel like whatever wild card team you end up playing is going to be way better. Well, if we make the playoffs, we're probably not going to be a wild card team. We'll be a home team in the division, so it probably wouldn't be as bad as a loss. But I just feel like a lot of teams are the good teams in the NFC are light years ahead of where all 3 of these NFC North teams are at.
Because don't you kind of think that even if we host a playoff game, because
Just think, though.
I think that's
as
the only
far
way
as
you make.
Detroit
who would
goes.
you face? Like Dallas? Are you
No,
facing, well, Dallas
if
is
you
gonna
host a
their own.
playoff game,
You get a higher
you're going to
seed.
play. If let's lay it out the way it is right now, we're a 4 seed. We're the worst in record in terms of division winners.
Yeah. So will we get a bye?
No.
The 3 and 4 seeds do not get a bye.
The top 2, yeah.
If we're a 4, we're going to play a 5 seed, which right now I believe was the New York Giants.
Which are beatable.
Yeah, they're not a great team. They they won, but they do not. They're like the Lions. Like,
Do you feel
it'd be a
like-
close game, but
Do you
they're
feel like
sloppy.
that if you're hosting a game, I mean, obviously the last 2 times the Lions have made the playoffs have been on the road and we've lost. Do you feel like it would help any being at home?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you think it would make a
Ford
game
Field-
place would be
changer?
rocking.
Ford Field would be
Oh my God,
insane.
dude.
It would be crazy.
Yeah.
For that
It would be
game.
like hosting the World Series.
This is the year to do it. If you're going to win the division and you're going to make some noise in the playoffs, obviously I don't think this team is good enough to be a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
But
You're not probably going to beat the Cowboys.
How average the NFC is this year, besides the Dallas Cowboys, the Seattle Seahawks, maybe the Atlanta Falcons. They're only 6-4 too, though, which
But dude,
we're
look
going
at- yeah,
to
look
be
at this
hopefully
team.
after Sunday.
I mean, we might have the weakest division, but
Whether you draw Dallas, who's the 2 teams in the playoffs right now? Is it Washington and New York?
you got Cowboys, you got the Seahawks, and then you got the Falcons,
Detroit,
and then you'd have.
Then it's New York and Washington.
Yeah, and wow, 3 teams out of the East.
Yeah.
Really
So right
tight
now,
race.
Yes.
you'd be playing the Giants. I think you beat the Giants at home. There's nothing on the Giants that says they are better than Detroit Lions.
Because the Cowboys and it looks like the Cowboys and Seahawks will get the bye.
And obviously we already beat Washington. It was a good game, but I think you can beat either wild card team right now at home.
I don't think you're beating the Cowboys or the
No,
Seahawks.
because then if you're the 4th seed and you win, and let's just say for kicks and giggles, Falcons win because they're the 3rd seed, then you would be going to Dallas week 2 of the playoffs, and then, you're probably not going to win that game.
Dallas without Romo, though. I mean, who would have thought this? People from Dallas were writing off the season when Romo went down, and look at what's going on right now. And they're putting up insane, like their ratio, points for to points against, 258 to 170.
It's great.
Now, a team that's not been very offensively, probably the lowest offensively team is the Seahawks. They've only put up 193
But
points.
you know what? When you have a defense as good as theirs, you don't have to score a lot of points.
Yep, they have let up the well, actually, no, the Vikings still have the least amount of points allowed.
Yeah, but their offense is complete garbage. So
yeah, 175 to 152, and then you get the Seahawks at 193 to 158. But how about the Falcons? 320 to 283.
Yeah, they scored a lot of points.
But they also
They're
give up
still
a
6
lot.
and 4.
They also give up a lot too.
Listen, they win when Julio Jones and Matt Ryan are hot, and when their running back Tevin Coleman or Devontae Freeman can put together a third effort. When someone can shut down the Julio Jones, or a defense can scheme it around where Julio Jones doesn't really get open, they're very beatable. They're very one-dimensional. They're kind of like the Lions back in 2011 when we made the playoffs. It was all Stafford and Calvin Johnson. There was no question about it. Those were the 2 guys winning us games offensively. When you can take that away, which the Saints ended up doing in the playoffs, it's hard to win. And I think that's where the Falcons are at right now.
I think how 500 this team is on paper. The Lions right now, 205 points given.
206.
Yes, that's how 500 they are right now.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
We haven't lost a game by more than 7 points, and we haven't won by more than 6.
But then you got the Cardinals.
It's exciting though to think about it. If you're a Lions fan, you're starting to get that excitement feeling. But this Sunday, you lose, and I think all that hope and all that momentum and everything that Lions fans are starting to get that. Okay, maybe
it's a different feeling because you look at the Lions and you know how average they are, but they make it exciting every week as they're always in the game.
You want to believe, but then you know that SOL is there.
Right. So, I mean, we'll see what happens on Sunday. Obviously, I hope they win. They should win. There's really no reason to lose, especially when you're at home.
Switching gears over to the AFC, I know obviously the Patriots are my team, but
watch out for the Raiders.
I was just about to say, how can you not pull for the Raiders?
I will pull for the Raiders out of the AFC.
I will.
Young quarterback, just a young team in general.
The Raiders used to be
Jack Del Rio's the coach.
This was a team that dominated the 70s and early 80s, and they've been irrelevant for
they have
the
a
past
really,
decade.
and you know really crazy fan base.
They do.
And that's where I'm going with this is I feel bad for any city that has to lose their team. And St. Louis just lost theirs to LA.
Yeah.
Oakland, while they're not leaving next year, supposedly it's the 3-year plan and they're going to Las Vegas. I hope they give Oakland a Super Bowl in those next
Vegas
3 years.
is getting all the teams now.
Yeah, Vegas. What is up with Vegas, man? The market?
I guess.
I don't know. I guess.
But I really hope Oakland does get a championship before they leave because, like Lions fans, Oakland fans are crazy. They're really loyal. They don't let that team down, and I feel bad for them that they're going to lose.
It's unfortunate because if we switch places with the Raiders, man, we could be just killing this division right now. I think you can pretty much award it to us after this week. 7-2, that'd be killing it right now in the North. Yeah. But on the other side of the spectrum, how about the lowest of lows? Finally, a Cleveland team that is really god awful. Are the Browns going to tie the 08 Lions?
I hope so.
What's the schedule?
They're 0-10 right now. They still have 6 weeks left to play. I think they're going to go. Honestly, I think they're going to go 0-15-1.
0-15-1.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, they're too bad to actually tie a game.
You think they are?
What's the remaining
Give
opponents?
me their schedule.
All right,
I want to know their opponents.
Here you go. So you got the Steelers this weekend.
Lost.
See ya. The Giants
Lost.
at home. These are 3 in a row at home. The Bengals at home.
Lost.
I think they could be beatable. Something tells me that.
The Bengals, the Battle of Ohio divisional game, it'll be close, but the Bengals will pull it out.
You want to know who the team? I was about to say the only team I feel like they would win
play
against.
the Lions.
No, but I feel like the only one that they could actually beat, I think, would probably be the Bengals because I don't see you beating the Bills the next week on the road. You're not beating the Bills.
Yeah, they won't get a road win.
The Chargers at home. and then you end the season
as colossally as the
at
Chargers can screw a
Pittsburgh.
game up. They won't lose to Cleveland.
Honestly,
And they won't lose
your
to
two
Pittsburgh.
best. I feel like your two best bets are Cincinnati and Buffalo.
Here's the problem with that division. That division's just as bad as the NFC North right now. They're Baltimore and I think Steelers are both 5-5, tied for first.
Yeah.
And then Cincinnati's right behind them at like 4-5-1 or 3-5-1.
Cleveland wins out and make the wild card or the division.
That'd be awful, man.
When's the last time a division winner was 6-10?
You have to look in the
I don't-
history books. For
It
that.
happened.
don't know.
I know 7-9 has been done.
7-9 happened with Seattle back in 2009 or 10,
yeah.
something like that. Yeah, it'll
But let's be real.
interesting.
Let's make a prediction now. I mean, it was 6 games with a lot of time. I think that they will win a game. I think that
they'll win a game, too.
I think honestly, I'm going to go with Bengals. I think they're going to beat the Bengals at home.
I think they're going to go on 16.
I think they will beat the Bengals.
I think
Coming-
they
all right.
are a really bad football
All right.
team. They're about to bring RG3 back, who sucks. I keep starting Kessler.
Coming from a Lions fan, all of us are. You know, we went through that season. I mean, you were young, but I mean, we were.
I knew it was.
We were right out of high school when that happened. I remember that season so vividly. Paper bags over everybody's heads, but yet we were still selling out
Yeah.
Ford Field. It was insane.
Yeah, the games were
They were
blacked
asking the
out.
government to
they
bail
were
the
blacked
Lions out.
Yes, exactly. And the fact that if that season didn't tell you how much this fan base, how much this team means to the fan base, even though you're there, you're still spending $30, $40 to go to see a team, which I'm sure they had to lower the
was
ticket
awful,
prices.
yeah.
I mean, the ticket price for that
Yeah,
season.
but
They
had
still
to-
didn't sell out.
No, they still
Which
had to-
rightfully so.
But just having your paper bag over your head and the fact that, do you want to have that? I know it's the worst thing to have in history, but do you want to be solely in possession of that worst record, or do you want to share it with somebody like the Browns?
No, I'd rather share it with the Browns.
Because
that-
it does kind of
that would-
monkey
You're,
off your
you're
back.
in
a
the
little bit,
history
but-
it
books,
would-
but it's not in a good way.
It would end the argument of the Detroit Cleveland, who's the worst all time.
Yes.
Then it would definitely be Cleveland.
Right.
Because, let's be honest, the Lions have had more successful seasons
That's
the
true.
last
Yes.
10 years than Cleveland has. But yeah, so I would like to share it. I don't want that to be solely Detroit Lions, but I would be interested at the end of the year if they do both go 0-16 to compare the stats. And I still have a funny feeling that the Detroit Lions team would still be worse than the Cleveland team when you put the stats
Yeah,
together.
when you look back
That
at
Lions team had nothing on it. It was
Well,
awful.
didn't we have like 3 or 4 quarterbacks that year? We had John
You had
Kitna,
Kitna, who I still
Stanton.
believe you could have won a game with Kitna, but they chose to throw him right out. As soon as he got hurt, they put him on the long-term IR. They didn't even want to bring him back.
I want to say we had Mike McMahon. We had Drew Stanton that
Well,
year.
you had
We had
Kitna
Culpepper,
start.
Culpepper.
You had Culpepper start most of the games after Kitna.
People thought Culpepper was like going to be the god answer.
Oh, Jesus.
Rod Marinelli, though, will be that coach.
Oh, that poor man.
You scored 268 points for, 517 against.
That defense was awful.
Yep.
Ooh, doesn't that sound pretty?
And who the hell are these guys? Our offensive coordinator, can you guess who it was?
Oh.
I'll give you his initials.
Wasn't Mike Martz anymore.
No, JC.
I couldn't even tell.
You would have been, what, 14 years old that year?
JC.
You
Yeah,
were a
no.
freshman, and, or you
Yeah, he
younger?
was,
No,
he was probably
I
starting
was-
high
oh,
school.
you-
right?
No,
Yeah,
I was in middle school.
you were probably
I started
13.
high school in 2010, so I was in 7th grade then.
Do you know the name of Jim Coletto?
Jim Coletto.
That was our offensive coordinator.
No,
I don't even know who that is.
Who's the DC though?
Joe Barry.
Joe Barry.
Couldn't tell you who they were.
Yeah, I don't know those guys.
But let's just look at like the schedule though, because I mean, honestly, the game. I feel like we had better chance to
Well,
win
we almost
games that
won
year.
one of the last games. I believe it was against Minnesota.
Let's see here.
I feel like we lost the game by 1 point to Minnesota that year.
Let's see here. Green Bay 48-25. You lost. 34-7. The Bears. Minnesota 12-10.
Yeah, that was the
And-
one
Last
game.
minute effort.
Yes, and then also you had. Let's see here. You also lost to them 20-16. So both games
Yeah.
against the Vikings, you lost 30. Oh boy, I mean a lot of ass kickings. 47-10, 42-7, 38-17,
Yeah, it was not a pretty year.
38-14. No, we got a lot of ass kickings that year. All right, there were 5 quarter. This is just some trivia. I'll let Danny and you answer, but 5 quarterbacks threw a pass for the Lions that year. Name 5.
I can name 3 of them.
Name
Oh,
them.
goodness.
We just named off.
Do you want to go first, or you want me to go?
Say one.
John Kitna.
That's one.
All right. Well, he's been here forever. Dan Orlovsky.
Dan Orlovsky, yes. That was actually Dan Orlovsky's second year with us.
Culpepper.
Dante Culpepper. And I mentioned this other person.
Oh, did you?
I
Oh,
mentioned-
McMahon.
Nope.
No.
Stanton?
Drew
Oh,
Stanton.
Stanton, yeah.
Now this one is
He was
gonna
a
be,
rookie that year, wasn't
yes, but this one is going to be very hard because he was in 2 games and he only threw
I think I know.
he only threw 2 passes.
I think I know.
It's not Harrington, is it?
Is it JT O'Sullivan?
No.
Oh.
It's not Harrington?
No, it's
No,
not.
Harrington
he was
was
gone.
around. Sullivan must have been the year before.
You're gonna probably kick yourself for this one because he actually only played in 2 years in the NFL. He could not make it. But
Chad Henne?
No, it started with an H, though. His name was, it was also Drew, wasn't it?
former Michigan quarterback.
Henson.
Drew Henson.
Drew Henson?
Drew Henson that I believe won the Rose Bowl with in 1998 with Michigan.
Yeah, I don't
Michigan
know.
sure had a lot of successful
Drew
quarterbacks,
Henson.
doesn't they?
Yeah.
He literally only played 2 years in the
Speaking
NFL.
of Henne, he'll be in the building this week.
What?
Hey, well.
On Sunday.
Chad Henne?
Yeah, he plays for Jacksonville still.
Oh, that's right. Is he their starting quarterback?
Backup.
Wow. There was a time when did they still have Shoelace?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if he's active.
He was the
right now.
running
He
back.
might be
I
hurt
know,
right now.
yeah.
That's the thing with
He's like
Michigan.
the third string running back at this
If
point.
you're the Michigan quarterback, you're not starting unless your name's Brady. And you're not, in your career's not real relevant.
Oh.
Well, we'll get to Michigan and quarterback woes here in a second, but let's just make our final prediction on this weekend. I'm going to start with Danny on this one. Final prediction for Lions and Jags.
27-23 Lions.
Okay, so you're going with Lions victory. You're kind of leaning a little bit towards the Jaguars
A little
there.
close.
The
but-
time is now. I'm going to drink the cool, drink it in.
Man.
I'm going 38-17
Whoa,
Lions.
first
Oh,
game
look at you.
over a touchdown.
Insert authority.
I'm going to go 31-20 Lions.
I'd be fine with a win like that,
You
too.
just hope that the
31-20,
game is
I think
over
I think
in the
that-
fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I feel like they're going to give up a late touchdown to make
Which
it
is
closer. I
fine.
mean, it's going to be probably like, it's probably going to be like 28-3, 28-10 most of the game, but I feel like we'll probably score a touchdown.
I want
last-
a game like Thanksgiving last year, where the Lions are just scoring
Killed it,
every
yes.
time they touch the ball. Because they should. This Jacksonville team is not that good.
No, they're not. I mean, their record speaks for itself.
I want to hear the Forward Down the Field song 10 times. No, I'm not kidding. Not 10 times,
Forward
but like
down
4 or
the
5
field.
times.
Goodness.
Yeah, everybody remembers that Eagles game last year. Huh?
That was a great game.
Mm.
Calvin Johnson went off.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns. His last big hurrah.
And then bye-bye. Dancing with the Stars, here I come.
Dude, he's about to win.
He is. He's in the finals, bro.
Calvin's got the moves.
All right, so let's hope that this, with all three of us picking this win.
All right, so now we're going to
wait.
Michigan?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to touch on this. Do you guys think, I'm going to ask all three of us, do you think that both Green Bay and Minnesota will lose, or is one going to win and one going to lose?
I think Minnesota will for sure lose.
Minnesota loses.
I don't
Green Bay
see them
wins.
beating
Is
Arizona.
Green Bay at home this
No,
week?
they're away. Minnesota's home.
And you got Minnesota losing at home.
I do.
That's 4 in a row.
They're not very good. Arizona's not great, but they have the best running back in the league. Their offense is still something to be reckoned with.
Or they both win, probably.
Are you saying
Knowing our luck, Minnesota and Green Bay both win.
Yeah, probably.
I'm
No,
gonna-
I think Minnesota loses. Green Bay is tough to call because they're on the road. But at some point, you would have to think Aaron Rodgers is going to say enough is enough and just
That's
has
what
a
I'm
great
thinking
game.
because this is kind of officially the second half of the season begins now, right? So in my opinion, right now, Green Bay has been a second half team for many years. They've stolen the division from us when it's been handed to us on silver platter. I'm going to go Green Bay wins, Minnesota loses, but we have to win. We really have to win.
It'll be interesting because you know the Packers don't want to fall to 4-6, especially
No.
if the Lions go to 6-4. So
But yeah,
see what happens.
Let's move on from something that's positive to something that's negative. And you know what? I called this from a couple weeks ago. If you listen back, I said that Iowa was going to be Michigan's toughest opponent. Now, I didn't have us losing Iowa, but my goodness, we were never in that game, really.
No.
I mean, we had the lead.
After we had the 10-0 lead, it was downhill.
Whenever you score 13 points, you know it's a bad deal. It's going to end
Yeah.
bad. But this reminded me a little bit of the Wisconsin game, but it's Wisconsin, not Iowa. And Iowa, they put the smackdown on us. They won 14-13. Yeah, see what I did there? And you lost Wilton Spate for the season. Wilton Spate is done. And now what do? You're depleted at quarterback, and you face Indiana, which even without Spate, you should win. Hey, you're at home.
Should.
You're
John O'Korn to the rescue.
Well, you know, here's
Sugar
how I look
Shane
at
Morris.
it. John O'Korn, that throughout that whole summer leading up to Game 1, it was a tight quarterback race. Jim Harbaugh did not name Spate the starter
No.
until a day before the first game.
And hasn't he been playing
Well, he
second
played for
string?
Houston.
But he's been second
Yeah,
string.
he's
when we've
played
been
in a couple
kicking ass.
games.
Yeah.
The difference between Spate and O'Korn is O'Korn is not patient with the football. He will turn the ball over more than Spate has. He forces passes. Well, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing that he takes chances. It could come back to hurt us.
Look at that stat.
What is this?
O'Korn passed for 3,117 yards, 28 touchdowns against 10 interceptions as a freshman in 2013.
Was that Michigan? Or
No,
where-
that was
He
when
lost
was
his starting
Houston.
gig at
Oh,
Houston.
Houston.
The following season, we passed for 951 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions.
Good job.
There you have it.
So you feel a little bit more confident with,
Fear the corn.
with the corn. But all right, so it's pretty much what happened in this game for Michigan and Iowa. I mean, what led to this heartbreaker?
They just
It's just a letdown game.
it was flat.
it was
I mean,
flat. They didn't
you-
look good.
You saw it coming, I guess.
And here's where I look at it. You know, everyone laughs, but you know, if Spate hits a deep ball, we win that game by 3 touchdowns. So there was at least 3 times that I counted that Spate just overthrew a wide open receiver.
I
That
feel
would have
like-
been.
and Peppers was pretty quiet on defense for the most part.
Yeah, everyone was.
He was quieted.
Yeah.
I think once the
and
team,
it's not that the defense played bad because Iowa didn't do much with the football either, but
Iowa just came
all
in
right.
and cleaned your clock.
Here's my question: over or under? How many snaps do we see Peppers get at quarterback? 4. Over or under?
Under.
for against Indiana, under.
Yeah, I think Indiana. Well, what about Ohio State?
Over 4.
You're gonna. Yeah,
They got to do something new with him though, because
know.
they keep doing the same thing. And Iowa knew what he.
Nah, yeah, they
every
did.
time
They
he
read
takes a snap, he
everything.
keeps it. It's
Yes.
like have him pass the ball. He's a good enough athlete
Do
to
the
do
flea
what you
flicker.
want.
Yeah, the
Put him at
famous flea
receiver
flicker.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's
Charles
fast
Woodson.
enough to burn people.
He is Charles Woodson 2.0 as far as I'm concerned.
But
Woodson was a little bit better than he was, but
Here's why I'm not as concerned about O'Korn starting, and I don't think us making the playoffs is totally out of this realm.
Yeah.
Because we saw him do it with Rudock last year. Harbaugh knows how to simplify an offense to a quarterback's turn. Not that ours is as much complicated anyway. We're a heavy run team. We're going to run the ball more than we pass. But when Jim Harbaugh did it with Rudock last year because he was just learning the system. He was a one-year starter. He came from Iowa. He breaks it down to one side of the field. So when he goes back to pass, he really only looks to one side, and he's reading 2-3 receivers at most when
Right.
he does this, which really simplifies it. Now, I'm hoping he doesn't, have a bad first game against Indiana because they'll take everything away from us. I think our defense is good enough to get us past this game. Ohio State, we're going to have to get O'Korn's best game.
yeah, and Jabril Peppers. The whole team has to just kind of come together. We'll make our predictions about Ohio State next week after our Indiana game, which I think we'll win convincingly. I think we're going to play
I
pissed
think you're
off.
favored by 28 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean, even after this loss to Iowa, because really, this is your mulligan, because luckily Ohio State lost to Penn State.
Everyone was worried, and why I thought Michigan would fall. They didn't. They stayed at 3. This
I was
game really
thinking they
didn't-
were going to go down.
they
a
went,
little
well, they
bit.
went from 2 to 4.
Well, here's-
initially.
No, they were 3.
They're
Or were they
3.
2?
No, they were no.
No,
in
Clemson was
the
2.
AP poll.
The APs doesn't matter at this point. It's all playoff poll.
So they went 3.
They stayed at 3. Now, everyone was so concerned. I'm like, I didn't obviously you don't want to lose. I wanted to go undefeated.
I didn't have them
But
going undefeated.
This loss could have been, well, besides losing State now, but before we knew State was gone, this could be the best thing for Michigan. It's a wake-up call. You're late in the season. Stop acting like you're going to beat everyone. You got to show up for games.
Honestly, yeah, I think I'd prefer it happen now, or even in Indiana. But it would have sucked going into Ohio State on a loss. That would have sucked. Especially
Got to
on
make
your
sure
home
that you
field.
go in there and take
But
care of
I feel
business.
like losing to a team like Iowa, or even if you would have lost to Maryland or Illinois, I feel like right around towards the end of the season, it kind of helps.
Ohio State losing to Penn State opened up everything for us in terms of when we lost, we had a mulligan because we know the winner of Michigan Ohio State's going to be the one. Well, not necessarily.
That'll be the
Big Ten
East,
championship.
Big Ten East, right?
Because if we lose to Ohio State and Penn State wins out, which they're going to because they play the Rutgers and Spartans.
How many losses does Penn State have right now? Are they
Just 1 or 2? They lost
to
2.
us?
No.
Because they're like 7th right now. Penn State's like 6th or 7th in the
No,
AP.
they are. Yeah,
They're in the playoff hunt.
If Penn State wins out and Ohio State wins out, Penn State makes the Big Ten championship over Ohio, and that's where you saw the rankings.
And we
it's
don't?
flawed.
And we
No, we
don't.
don't because we lost to Ohio State.
Oh my God!
But here's where it's flawed because if you notice the playoff standings, they bumped Ohio State up to 2 for really no reason.
Yeah.
You know why they did that?
Why?
Because when they finish 11-1 and beat Michigan, but Penn State wins out and goes to the Big Ten title game, there's a reason to keep Ohio State in the playoffs without winning the Big Ten championship.
So they're slappies for Ohio State.
Pretty much.
Of course.
They
It's
are.
a business.
It is.
It's ratings. It's
even
money.
though Michigan has
Penn State
more
is
money
8-2.
over it.
Penn State is 8-2. But their conference record will give them the tiebreaker over
Is
Ohio
Penn State
State.
in the West or the East?
Oh, they're in the East.
They are in the
So
East.
potentially, what does your bowl matchups look like?
I haven't looked at bowl
don't
projections.
you win the East and the West, and then don't you have an East and West game for the Big
Yeah,
Ten
and
championship?
then you have- it would be-
and then the playoffs start.
It would be if Michigan wins, they go. Michigan controls their own destiny. If they win out, they're the representative of the East.
Who's in the top of the West right now?
It's Nebraska and Wisconsin.
Nebraska, that's right. And we can beat Wisconsin and Nebraska as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Nebraska got their asses kicked by OSU.
But if Penn State wins out, it's going to be two Big Ten teams will make the playoffs this year because
That's crazy.
They won't.
And one could be Michigan?
No.
They
Well,
can't.
that's
You
if
have to beat Ohio State.
no, because if Michigan wins and beats Ohio State, Penn State won't make the Big Ten championship either, and then you're going to be looking at Penn State probably at a Rose Bowl or the next bowl under. Because I mean,
We're not going to make a BCS bowl, but we'll probably make something good. Like we'll make whatever the
I could still
whatever's
see
below.
Michigan making a BCS bowl because they're going to be a
Sugar Bowl,
10-2
maybe?
football
Yeah.
team. Yeah, whatever. I don't know the bowls anymore
what's
because
but
two
we
of the
changed.
playoff bowls
Well,
are
what are the
BCS
what do the
bowls.
brackets look like? What are your numbers like? How many teams make it? Isn't it like 16
For what?
for the playoffs?
No, for the playoffs it's 4.
Oh, just the final four.
It's
Okay.
Alabama. Right now, if it finished today, it would be Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, and Clemson. Meaning, if it were to stay like that, which it probably wouldn't, depending on what happens in Columbus, you could have Michigan and Ohio State play in the last week of the regular season, and then again in December they go to the national championship.
That's where it's all confused because you're playing for a Big Ten title and then you play for the playoffs. Is that how it goes?
Well,
You could potentially
You
see
play for
Michigan
the
play
I'm
Ohio
so
State.
confused at how the playoff system works.
well, the
because
playoff system goes off.
you do
of,
East versus West, and then whoever wins that game, what happens? When you
Goes-
win the Big Ten.
Yeah, you win the Big Ten overall, and then the winner of that is going to go to the playoffs. That's a ride in.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is, the way it's set up is if Michigan loses to Ohio State, which would be Ohio State winning out and Penn State wins out, Ohio State doesn't represent the Big Ten East. Penn State does by tiebreaker. But you know they're not going to let 11-1 Ohio State team not be in the playoffs.
Right,
So
yeah.
that's where Ohio State
It
will
is a flawed
stay
system.
comfort.
The
Yeah.
rankings are
It's
flawed.
very flawed.
Because honestly, I mean, I really thought that Michigan would have fell even
I've always
more.
said they should do an 8-team playoff where you have the 5 major conferences, all the winners,
Yeah.
make it in as the first 5 seeds.
Yes.
You go by the record after that.
it's way too
And then you
confusing.
have the next 3 best teams. That's where you could put the undefeated Western Michigan Broncos in. You can put,
And they're
that
gonna
Penn
get-
State
yeah.
team in or that Michigan team
And
in.
how about the Broncos right now? I mean, right now they're a 10-0 team, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to have game day in Kalamazoo, first time
Yep.
ever.
It's
And
awesome
isn't
for
that
them.
like that stadium can only hold like what 20,000 people or something? Like
Yeah,
it's
well,
a
it's
small
gonna be
stadium.
packed though.
Yeah, it will
Dude.
be.
And good for them.
PJ Fleck, man, that guy, they're working on a contract. He could be one of the richest coaches in college football after this season.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to probably make a couple million because Jim Harbaugh's I think making $5 million a year.
Yeah. Well,
He
Michigan should win this week, even with O'Korn starting.
Oh, stop! Yeah, they honestly
Should. Yes.
I mean, we said the same thing about Iowa. I think we had them winning convincingly over Iowa.
But you
and
know
we were
what?
Dead wrong
As much
there,
as you
but-
want to see a team to go undefeated, it's hard to go undefeated unless
Al-
you're an all-pro team like Alabama
Alabama's the only team that's undefeated right
and
now.
Western.
and
Western,
Alabama,
yeah.
who does Alabama really play?
But you know what?
Alabama, when they play the tough teams, they do beat them.
You had to expect
They beat
Michigan.
State.
Yeah, that was a good team.
Yeah.
You had to expect Michigan to lose at some point this season. A lot of people didn't think it'd be till Ohio
It'd be
State, which
Ohio
they can
State.
still lose.
Or Iowa.
But if this is going to be your only loss on the season, you're damn happy this was the loss you took instead of at Columbus.
do you give any source of hope to Michigan?
I'll be a huge Spartan fan this
I
weekend.
will be too.
Because
At
then
home.
Michigan,
This
even if
is-
they lose, I think they go.
This is senior. Isn't this the senior game? Because
Yes,
this is the
it
last
is.
game at home.
I hope they play inspired. I hope Mark D'Antonio finds something.
This is
in
your
his
bowl
team.
game. You're not making a bowl game.
Right.
This is basically your bowl
Spartans,
game.
You know
to
what?
win big.
Go upset someone in East Lansing, and I'll forever be thankful of Michigan State Spartans because even if Michigan loses in Ohio State, they still go to the Big Ten
The week
championship
before
game.
Thanksgiving. What a Thanksgiving gift that would be if we were thankful for the Spartans dethroning Ohio State. Now, what happens then if Ohio State loses to Michigan State and we lose to them next week?
If we lost, if we beat Indiana and lost Ohio State, we'd still have the tiebreaker.
Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
It is crazy how college football plays.
And why is that?
That's just what I've heard.
Because the better record though too. Well, no, they'd both be 10-2, right? Or 11-2?
We would.
No, they would be.
We'd both be 10-2.
Yeah, 10-2.
but how would it work?
Yeah, Ohio State has the win over us.
Because it has to do with something about Penn State, too. I don't know how it works.
Oh, my God, that's too confusing.
It is.
That's
rattles your brain.
why I miss the old way. I really miss the old rankings. I mean, even though the ranking system has been flawed for decades, I'm not a fan of
extremely
this.
flawed. Derek's getting an ulcer over there thinking about it.
And I totally didn't even know, like, when the hell did they change it from the legends and leaders? When was it changed to East and West? Last year?
Who cares?
I remember when
It's
it was
ridiculous.
the last
That's
I knew
why
it was
college
legends and
football
leaders.
All I'm concerned is you have 4 good teams in the East usually, and 2 or 3 good teams in the West, and the rest can go.
I love how it's the Big Ten, but there's like really 14 teams in the Big Ten. Whatever. But final scores for this weekend: Michigan against Indiana.
I think it'll be a little bit of a struggle to start, but I'll go with a 31-21 win.
Ooh, that's too close.
It's too close. But
I feel like
you got to remember you're gonna have the pains of a new quarterback, and he could start off slow.
31-21.
I'm gonna go 27-14 Michigan.
31-10 Michigan. I feel like the defense is going to be.
I think the defense will play well, but I think O'Korn's going to throw a pick 6. I just have a feeling.
All right, I'll go. In that case, I'll go 31-14. I'll go 31-14. 2 touchdowns, no field goals. But Michigan should and will win this game. But go Sparty and go Blue this weekend.
Yeah.
If you're because I hate Buckeyes more than Spartans, so I can be a Spartan fan for this weekend. So the girl will be happy that I said that. And let's finish off this show with some WB news.
The WWE.
We didn't have John Gross come in here. Actually, Danny, you might be happy about this one. Guest 2 came in here and said, "Dan, you are sexy," and then left. I wonder if that is your girl or if that is somebody else. I don't know who else would say that.
I have no idea.
I feel like, is that something that Danielle would say and then leave?
She usually doesn't listen live. So
is she working tonight?
She's asleep.
Yeah, so that was not. I feel like
as far as I know, she is asleep.
I feel like that's someone else. I feel like that could be Chris Nickel or something because Chris said he was going to try to call in tonight, but he hasn't yet, and we haven't had a John Gross pop in. And go figure, the one show that we were hoping for John Gross to come in, tear up them notes and throw it away because John Gross did not come on.
Johnny.
But let's talk about. Other than what we talked about earlier with Edge and Undertaker returning, yes, the dead man returned and made a very shocking and surprising statement in his return promo. He said that he is back and he is taking souls and digging holes and basically sent out a warning to whoever basically screws the SmackDown team in winning this Sunday at Survivor Series, which will basically be his next opponent for either Royal Rumble.
I think this is definitely his walk into the sun after WrestleMania because
this is his last hurrah.
The Undertaker is what, 51 or 52 years old?
51 years old.
You don't go full time for that long. So if he's going to do this on a weekly basis,
he hasn't been full time in 5 years.
That's what I mean.
3 months.
If he's coming back full time, it's only going to be for a short couple months. And if that leads up to WrestleMania, that's fine.
Well, this is it. I mean, a run to me is not a full year. You don't have to have a full year in the company to have a full run. A full run is a good 3 to 4 months, and that's WrestleMania. The road to WrestleMania to me starts immediately after Survivor Series because that's
basically when it's going to start.
Yes, the storylines have all been kind of. I mean, you still don't know who you're facing at WrestleMania quite yet, but you start building the storylines. Mm-hmm. You literally have December, January, Royal Rumble January, then you got February, March, and April. So you got 5 months until WrestleMania. That's Undertaker's run.
Here's what I'm interested because I thought Team SmackDown would win this match because I just thought they'd give SmackDown this because I don't think they're going to win the women's division.
No.
Maybe they'll give them the tag team now because of the Undertaker situation.
I feel like they're going to get the cruiserweights on SmackDown.
They will get the cruiserweights.
Yes,
but what I think is going to happen here, it'll be interesting to see is when SmackDown loses, is if Undertaker, after Raw kind of walks off, if Undertaker appears at the end of Survivor Series and choke slams or tombstones someone.
Oh, he'll be there. He'll be there.
Or if he waits till Tuesday night.
Pull up the matches for Sunday.
We
can go through them real quick.
Goldberg.
I've had my
fantasy warfare just got real.
He said, "Don't talk shit about my children."
I'm so over that. I'm so over the whole fantasy warfare bullshit.
I'm gonna rip your head off and feed it to your beast.
Speaking about Goldberg, before I pull up the matches, he actually did an interview. I think
he's on NFL AM.
Yeah, he was NBCSports.com did an interview to promote the Survivor Series match with him and Lesnar, and he was asked about it, and he goes, "My body feels horrible. I tweaked my shoulder last night on Raw, but that doesn't mean in 5 days that I'm not going to come out kicking ass and taking names like I always do."
So is that going to be excused when the match is 2 minutes long on Sunday?
I don't know.
He tweaked his shoulder doing what?
Probably throwing those bodyguards.
Yes, that's all he did. He got physical with some security guards, and he's already hurt. Granted, you're 47 years old.
This is exactly why I said stepping in the ring with Brock was a horrible idea.
Do you think that that's storyline related? Could it be storyline? Would you go and tell a national news media that your shoulder hurts?
He's got to be full on 100% truthful. Yeah. I would imagine.
Well, you never know.
I could see it being storyline too.
How that makes you look weak. Why do you want to look weak going
mind games for Brock Lesnar? I mean, if you're going to be on NBC in character, because they're in character on SportsCenter sometimes.
Yeah.
I think that makes you
look
weak.
They have the coach
though.
on SportsCenter when they do the WWE.
All right, you got relatively. It's a small pay per view because there's only
the matches are going to be long.
6
in terms of the
there's only
Survivor
6 matches
Series
on the card, but there's only because every single match on the card has to do with Raw versus SmackDown, other than Goldberg and Lesnar. Right. You got Lesnar and Goldberg. Let's kick that off. I'm going with Lesnar. I think Lesnar will go over on Goldberg. I know you guys have argued with this and saying, why did they bring back Goldberg to lose?
Right.
I won't be a bandwagon. I'll stick with Goldberg since I've stuck with him all along.
Go with Lesnar.
I won't change the day before.
I'm going to go with Lesnar.
And I'm not just saying Lesnar because that's what I've heard on the dirt sheets. I think that there's going to always be that open door for a tiebreaker. Mm-hmm. Goldberg to me does not deserve to go up 2-0 on Lesnar. I feel like it wouldn't be realistic because I feel like Lesnar would kill Goldberg in real life. Okay, you had him when he was younger.
Lesnar would kill everyone in real life.
Yes, I mean Goldberg
of the roster.
The girl actually disagreed. The girl when she watched on Monday, she thought that Goldberg looked in better shape than Lesnar. Lesnar does look a little bit pudgy. He's a bigger guy. Maybe.
Want to know why that is?
Why?
Trying to cut out the roids.
Lesnar?
Yeah. He's trying to wean himself from the roids.
Because he's still big and he's
the
ripped.
Performance
but
he's whatever he took in the UFC.
He's always been a thicker, muscular guy. I mean, he's big. Trust me, he can definitely take you. But I feel like Goldberg is maybe in better shape now.
I'm sure Goldberg's been working out pretty good the past couple months.
And then let's be honest, if Goldberg were to win, it's not the first time we've seen someone beat Brock Lesnar that's shown, aka The Undertaker, in round 2 or 3.
To be quite honest, this match is going to be absolutely horrible.
It is.
It's going to come in. And I'll tell you one thing, if Goldberg wins, it's going to come in. He's going to spear him, jackhammer, over.
Tell me now.
That's what's going to happen.
This has got to be a minimum of a 5-minute match.
If Brock wins this, he'll take him to Suplex City.
10 suplexes.
Goldberg will hit him with a spear, and Lesnar will get out.
They're each going to do their finishers at least once in this match. I feel like you got to make both men look a little bit strong over the other.
Goldberg hits a spear.
I think what you're going to see is a similar to their last match where they dance around the ring for 5 minutes just to prolong the match.
After the game,
they'll meet each other. To try and
we got to wait for Goldberg to walk 10 minutes from the locker room to the ring. So his entrance is longer than Undertaker's.
Meanwhile, Lesnar.
Could you imagine a Goldberg and Undertaker match? You would wait a half hour till they got to the ring.
Yes. Thankfully, we've never seen that happen, and it never will happen.
But getting cramped up.
Well, we are going to be skimming through the pay-per-view. The good thing about missing the pay-per-view live, it does suck we're not watching it live.
I'll watch it live.
Just no spoilers, but Danny and I will probably
I'll
get back.
you as soon as what happens.
We'll get back from the Wings game. We'll be back from the Wings game probably a little after 11, and we'll probably just skim through the pay-per-view.
Can you believe it, Dan?
I honestly, but a lot of these matches,
take it in.
Probably the only 2 matches I don't care about on this pay-per-view are probably The Miz and Sami Zayn and Bryan.
Yeah, I don't care about
match.
Well, the tag team match, I mean, could
I don't
be
care
something.
about tag team.
Hope to see Becky Lynch and.
All right.
Yeah, I want to see SmackDown's strategy to take on Nia Jax.
Let's go down the list. So now you got Kendrick versus Kalisto. We've already agreed. Kalisto will win the cruiserweight, which I'm fine with. The Miz, I think Sami Zayn will be your new.
Sami Zayn does take the cake.
Which I honestly did not think that they would put 2 titles. And where the hell is Rusev? Is Rusev even in this?
He died. No,
Rusev is
he's taking time off.
I think he is because Rusev has not been involved in this.
It's true honeymoon now.
Yeah, I think he's doing either some promotional work or something.
I don't think Sami Zayn will win because I don't think they'll have the Intercontinental, US, and WWE or Universal Championship all on Raw.
But then you lost the cruiserweights, which the cruiserweights should have been on SmackDown to begin with.
You still got the cruiserweight title.
And SmackDown's, and no matter what, I think that they're trying to do something to bolster Raw's ratings because obviously, I honestly
especially
think,
with the Undertaker coming back.
Yes,
SmackDown's ratings are going to shoot up so far.
I think even losing the Intercontinental title will not be enough to dwindle SmackDown's ratings because they are still outperforming Raw, and I think it's because of that that last hour. You're putting more action. You're putting more good promo work out there. You're having better matches. Even with a depleted roster, your roster on paper is not better than Raw's. Let's be honest.
No, not at all.
But now bringing back guys like Edge and Undertaker, and you're actually making the matches a little bit more entertaining, and just the stories are better. Losing the Intercontinental title, I think, isn't going to matter because the Miz, I think, will get more respect on Raw either way. Even if if it gets traded, I don't know if he's going to get traded or not. But there's been rumors that Miz might get traded to Raw. Or Sami Zayn might get traded to SmackDown, or vice versa. Ooh, Maurice, but I'm going to go with Sami Zayn. I think you're going to have both the mid-card titles on Raw. Team Raw, the 10-man tag, Team Raw. You got the New Day, you got Sheamus and Cesaro, you got the Club, you got Enzo and Cash, you got the Shining Stars versus Team SmackDown, Heath Slater and Rhino, the Hype Bros, American Alpha, the Usos, and Breezango. Like, literally on paper,
Team Raw would wipe the floor with
Raw, there is no tag team. That SmackDown is terrible.
See, here's the problem, though. What match is SmackDown? Because you know Raw isn't going to get a clean sweep.
No, they're not.
And originally, like I said, I thought SmackDown would win the main 5 stars in the main event Survivor Series match, but I don't see that happening anymore. I think the tag team's the one that's going to win it. I do, because the Divas aren't going to win. There's no way the Divas
they're going to
honestly,
they will. They're going to have the Divas win because Raw Divas hate each other so much. You're going to see Sasha and Charlotte going against each other.
Yeah, because you got Nikki Bella, who doesn't get along with Carmella, and then you got, let's see here. Well, what is this with Natalya?
Natalya's the coach of Team
SmackDown. And then Dana Brooke is the coach on Raw. I get it. Okay, so you got Nikki Bella.
Trying to fill the.
But on paper, I get other than Banks, Bayley, and Flair, Bella, Lynch, and Bliss. I mean, they're good. Yeah, I think the SmackDown girls will win. Honestly,
SmackDown girls will beat Team Raw.
Because you got, let's see, Nikki Bella, Becky Lynch.
You could tell on Friday or Tuesday, Nikki Bella still hates Charlotte. They still hate each other.
Well, because I think they're all evenly matched. Because Charlotte, Nia Jax are the only 2 heels on the team, and then you got Bayley.
Dude, I don't know how you stop Nia Jax. I mean,
you're gonna have
that is a man amongst women.
Yeah, honestly, it really should have been a 6-on-5. You should have probably given SmackDown an extra woman because Nia Jax is 2 women.
Or you have Kong come back and be on SmackDown for one night only.
For one night only.
You know, Awesome Kong.
Yeah, I honestly, what I'm going to go with in this one, I'm going to say Alexa Bliss wins it by pinning Bayley.
I love it.
I like it. I think Alexa Bliss will get
Becky
the win.
Lynch.
I like anything with Alexa Bliss.
They got to push Bliss.
I say they're trying Lynch, and it's just not working.
If you want to make Alexa Bliss because she's already the number 1 contender for the women's title on SmackDown.
I think she's the most talented diva besides Nikki on SmackDown.
What about Becky Lynch? She's still a good wrestler.
I think Becky Lynch
she's all right, but she's just not catching on.
Have you heard the rumors that Dunn hates her Irish accent? That's why she doesn't do promos anymore.
It is.
Really?
He hates her accent.
I get it, but I'm a fan of Becky.
So
is Balor.
Well, Balor's a guy. Becky Lynch is a woman. And
Whoa!
Her
Sexism 101 here with Derek Partin.
What I'm going to say is that I mean, I don't know. I think
he voted for Trump.
No.
How about just Finn Balor's, one of the better wrestlers in the WWE?
It doesn't take away that I like Becky Lynch, but her accent does get a little bit on your nerves. I mean, she can't help it.
Kind of sexy.
Yeah, whatever. But
I am a Becky guy.
All right, so right now,
turned on. All
right, so right now, let's do the count then. We already know Goldberg and Lesnar's not either one, so we got Sami Zayn, so that's 1 for Raw.
Yep.
Kalisto, so that's 1 for SmackDown. So it's 1-1, and then you got SmackDown winning the 5-on-5 women's match, so that's 2 for SmackDown. And then the tag team, the 10-man tag, are you going with Raw? Or are you going? It has to be Raw.
I go with Raw.
2-2.
Yeah,
so now you're
Raw. There's no way with New Day.
All right, so here you go then. Then your tiebreaker will be the 5-on-5 traditional.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
SmackDown
it's
will
going to come down to the end.
Yeah, because they're going to keep tally. It's going to be, SmackDown and Raw.
SmackDown will win.
No, it's
even
2-2.
with The Undertaker.
No, it's 2-2. It's 2-2. So right now you're looking, and I think Team SmackDown will lose now. I really do, because with Undertaker coming back, before Undertaker came back, I had SmackDown win it all. But I mean, it's not going to kill SmackDown. I mean, they're going to lose in the bragging rights category.
Who's Stephanie going to fire if Team Raw loses? So Team Raw's going to lose.
Yeah, well, that's
win. I meant
that's what they've been talking about. But I mean,
I feel like Mick Foley would stop that.
Probably.
Does James Ellsworth get involved in this match? He is.
James Ellsworth,
because it's no disqualification match.
He probably helps somehow or another. He screws over Ambrose.
He'll piss off Ambrose or Styles, and that's how Styles will probably end up losing.
All right,
table.
All right, so let's just break this down, because we've had our own little storyline ideas. First, we were talking about possibly Dean Ambrose turning on Team SmackDown, joining the Shield on Raw. That was one idea. And then, of course, the Seth Rollins guy that mapped out that entire Undertaker storyline, like, piece by piece. So do you follow that, or what happens? I mean, I'm going to go with Team Raw winning this. I think that I feel like Braun Strowman is going to win it for Team Raw.
That's
dark
the
horse.
big Strowman.
The dark horse.
The big push.
Yeah, because you do have a lot of a lot of stories colliding here.
I feel like
the Wyatt brothers, the Shield.
I feel like Roman Reigns, no. Jericho, no. Owens, no. I feel like Rollins or Strowman are going to get you the win. That's the way it is. If you follow the Undertaker thing, and I feel like Strowman will
If
pin
you're not going to
Styles.
have Strowman get that big push, then why is he in this match?
Yes.
Right.
There's got to be a push factor for someone in this match.
Yeah, because honestly, he's the younger guy. Because you got veterans in Jericho, because every team kind of has a veteran. You got Orton as the veteran on SmackDown, Jericho on Raw. Then you got some youth mixed in. You got Owens and Reigns and Rollins. You got Styles is kind of older too. He's a veteran as far as overall wrestling. And then you got Ambrose.
Styles is nowhere near.
Yeah, Shane McMahon. Some people were pissed because he took away a youthful spot in Baron Corbin, but
Corbin is just.
But Baron Corbin could have
He's
been
not
your Braun
ready
Strowman.
yet.
No,
He's just not ready.
But they do have big plans for him eventually. But I feel like at the end of this match, it's going to be Braun Strowman. And Matt, mark this down because we're going to watch it Sunday. Braun Strowman pins AJ Styles. Undertaker
Oh, that
will.
won't make me happy at all.
See, I don't know. I don't know if AJ Styles will get pinned.
Being a big Styles fan,
Okay.
Braun Strowman pinning Styles
No.
and slapping the face.
No, I think I could see
There's
Styles.
no fucking way.
So
I'm sorry, that's an absolute asinine.
So-
if
well, then what
you have Strowman pin Styles, you might as well just not watch the paper.
Well, wait a minute. Then how do you do the Undertaker?
I think Styles
storyline?
walks away. I think he abandons the team.
Styles
He
has.
gets-
Oh.
Styles has.
So does that piss Undertaker off?
No,
Styles leaves.
Styles will leave because either A, him and Kevin Owens are kind of just like because they're both the champions and Kevin Owens gets the best of them, or B, what's his face, Chinless Boy, and Ambrose piss him off where he just walks away.
I feel like
and they end up
Owens. I
losing.
feel like Owens and Jericho can just ban this team too.
I could see it, but
The
I don't.
BFF.
There's
I don't
so
see it
many
happening.
things that could happen.
I would hate to
because
be the writer of this match. I really would.
No, there's so
because
many things you could do with
You
it.
can.
There
There
really
are so
is.
many.
we
because
can have everybody
every
screw each other over.
well,
you know,
one
it's-
person always defects. It's happened.
I feel like Styles is going to walk out of this match because he gets pissed off about something, which screws Team
Ellsworth,
SmackDown.
something with Ellsworth.
But I could also see them doing that, along with Ambrose also turning on SmackDown, and then eventually going back onto Raw to bring the Shield back.
But where does Undertaker stand? Because we will see Undertaker at the end of Survivor Series.
It's going to be
I feel
Undertaker
like.
and Styles, because I do agree.
Do we see Undertaker close the show after this match?
Maybe Styles
or
is
do we-
standing in the ring and Undertaker comes out and chokeslams him.
that, or when Styles walks
Or-
away
or
backstage, he
Randy
gets
Orton.
screwed backstage.
But this is what I don't want to see is Randy Orton and Undertaker again. I don't. I really don't want to see Undertaker and Orton. If it happens,
who's the guy on Raw that you think that the Undertaker would choose to go against? If
Braun
anyone.
Strowman. Braun Strowman.
That's
No,
another
no,
crap
no.
that Chad
It-
was talking about.
all right.
that.
It would not be Braun Strowman
All
at
right,
this
Kevin,
point.
Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. No.
Seth Rollins, yes, months
From-
ago.
No, I don't see it
From
being,
a wrestling standpoint, none of
You know what would
nobody.
be good for this person? And you could turn him heel.
Undertaker.
It would be great. And this is what I was thinking of. And I'm going to throw this out there.
Who's he from?
Raw.
Team Raw.
And this is the perfect way to get him over, to get him heat.
Kevin
Roman
Owens.
Reigns.
Turn him.
You have Roman Reigns spear the Undertaker out of his boots and beat the hell out of him.
And that's
you
what he-
have Rollins jump on Undertaker. You have him jump the Undertaker.
So
Yeah.
the heel shield.
Yes,
see
you have the heel shield, and you have Ambrose too.
That would be so weird, though.
You know,
it's
I don't know if I'd see that happening
It's
just
not
because
because you want to put over Reigns. That's the way to do it.
I think Undertaker. Or I think
Well, he'll be over as face or heel if as long as he's back in the Shield. Roman Reigns will never be over as a singles competitor, at least for several years, until some of the fans finally just give in and say, "Oh, okay." But he will be over as a Shield member, heel or face. I prefer the heel Shield over the face Shield. But
here's the problem with that is I don't think SmackDown really wants to share Undertaker with Raw. They want Undertaker to be exclusive
no,
SmackDown.
because Undertaker said in his promo that SmackDown.
And on top of that, I don't
He's
see the
his
Randy
own.
Orton thing happening because to have Randy Orton lose to Brock Lesnar and then again to Undertaker
Is it-
makes no sense for Randy Orton's
Is
career.
it somewhat symbolic that 3 out of the 5 competitors on Team SmackDown have faced the Undertaker and lost at WrestleMania?
Why not have him
and
face
Shane McMahon.
Styles and have him beat Styles too?
Because now all you got's Ambrose and Styles. Because why would
Well,
Undertaker-
Styles won't lose to him at WrestleMania, but yeah, I
No.
could see Styles losing to him.
Well, we already just had. Would you be okay with Undertaker beating AJ Styles?
Yes.
You said you'd be okay with it earlier when I sent that thing. But in order for Undertaker to blame Styles, he would either have to walk out and piss Undertaker off, or he would have to lose the match clean.
But what I'm interested to see happen here is I don't know if they'll go. If this fan theory is right, I don't see Undertaker going right to Styles because I feel like him and Kane are going to do something together first, which wouldn't make sense with the
Who's
Styles.
this? Who and
Kane?
Kane and who?
Kane and
Undertaker.
Taker.
Like
No.
they'll team up with something.
That was just
Then-
one little
No,
thing.
that
on
was- that was
SmackDown.
I don't know.
exclusive.
I don't see if they have that promo just to do that.
That was an
just to
exclusive,
be a
no.
one-time
Probably
thing.
was because if you didn't even
I'm
see
over.
that, you have no idea.
I'm over the Brothers of Destruction. I mean, they were a great tag team. It's nice when Taker comes back and being on the same show as Kane. Now it was a cool moment just to.
That might be
raise
like a
hands.
little bit of a backup plan B.
Oh, but we've seen Taker
Brothers
and
of
Kane
Destruction.
twice.
I know, but if they need that backup plan,
Well, right now we're looking ahead to pretty much Royal Rumble. We're not looking at WrestleMania right now because Undertaker's pretty much made it official that he's back for the long haul until WrestleMania. So that means you got still what's the December pay-per-view?
Tables, ladders, and chairs.
TLC. So you
the main event's already made for that. Ambrose and Styles.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because they've already made it aware that this is not a title. The title's on hold till TLC.
This pay-per-view has nothing to do with rivals.
But we could
whatsoever.
still, well, unless someone turns and defects to the one team. But you got TLC that we could see Taker wrestle at. We could see him wrestle at Royal Rumble. And then you got 2 pay-per-views before WrestleMania. So Taker could wrestle on all
An
the main
appearance at
shows.
TLC. Doesn't do much.
Wrestles at Royal Rumble.
Wrestles at Rumble.
The loser or whoever he blames for Team SmackDown's loss. So are we going with Raw? Are we going to go with Raw on this one?
Going to go with Raw.
I'll go with Raw, but remember the Shawn Michaels promo. Ambrose could win the title if we get that Shawn Michaels
AJ
Styles match.
Well, depending on if Michaels is willing to come out of retirement.
I just remembered that because I was kind of thinking about the whole
There's a
AJ
lot
Styles.
that can happen here in the next couple months.
But has Shawn
Triple H
Michaels
better
said
get on that
anything
phone
about this?
Shawn Michaels hasn't said it.
Shawn Michaels is keeping
Shawn Michaels
quiet.
is hunting.
He's kind of living off the radar right now, and I heard there
He
was
always
rumors.
has.
Well, there was rumors that he was the new head trainer at the Performance Center, and that he moved to Orlando from San Antonio, and it's not true. Triple H already.
That's not true.
No, he would not leave his
No.
show in the woods. He would not travel to Orlando.
No,
would
he
fry.
might be there every now and
He
then.
would fry. Orlando, Florida is not for HBK. He's so laid back country man. No, thank you. But who is going to get the pin for Team Raw, and who is going to lose for Team SmackDown? I've already said
that's something that racks my brain. So I can't put it all together yet. I
I'm
just
gonna
really
stick.
can't
I
decide.
am sticking with Braun Strowman as the winner for Team Raw.
Oh, that's just.
You said that you were okay with him until I mentioned he'd pin Styles.
He can't pin someone big like Styles.
All right, Dean Ambrose
for the win. Okay, I
Dean
can live
Or
with
Shane
Shane.
McMahon. What if he pins Shane?
Shane's going to be one of the first ones eliminated.
You think?
Yep.
But he's crazy. He's going to do coast to coast. I feel like we're going to see something crazy out of Shane.
No,
Having him in that match is already.
What's going to happen is you're going to get 2 Raw guys probably eliminated quickly. I feel like that's.
They always do that every year.
right.
Like usually it's always like a 4-on-2 or somebody like 2
Here's-
guys
here's
get
how-
eliminated quick.
This is how I always look at it. 90% of the time, whoever's going to win the match at the pay-per-view,
Starts off.
well, the regular show, Raw or SmackDown before, they're the ones who get their ass kicked. And
Well,
then,
happens every pay-per-view.
Right. And
Who
then,
got the better of Goldberg and Lesnar? Nobody,
right.
No. Lesnar.
technically.
Lesnar didn't get that.
Well,
Lesnar retreated, so it looks like Goldberg.
Well, Lesnar didn't even say a damn word. Paul Heyman did all the talking for him. And he
Well,
basically-
Lesnar said one thing.
all we're going to know after that match is if, who has a new daddy. If Goldberg's kid has a new daddy at the end of that
goodness.
match. That's all we're going to find out.
But remember, when we're putting together these Undertaker matches and stuff like that, we got to remember there's got to be someone for Lesnar at WrestleMania too.
Unless they decide to do Lesnar versus Goldberg
No,
3.
who is everybody going to be healthy come WrestleMania? That's the biggest
Well,
thing. Is
that's
health
things
is a
you
big
don't know
concern.
yet.
We keep
either.
forgetting about Finn Balor. We forget about Finn Balor because that's
He'll
Raw.
come back, but I don't think he'll have a match. He'll be one of those guys that make a
Bal-
promo
I
at the
think
end of a
Balor-
WrestleMania
I think
match.
he'll be back.
No, he will be. Because they were already talking about having him back at Roadblock next month. And he ruled
He
that
could
out.
make it. He could make an
Royal
appearance.
Rumble.
He could make an
I would have him
appearance, but
enter
he
like
doesn't wrestle.
30th entry of the Royal Rumble.
I'm already going to go. I'm saying that John Cena wins the Royal Rumble. I feel like there's a reason why he chose to leave at this time to go film his TV show. It's right before WrestleMania season. He's going to come back, and either we're going to get heel John Cena. It's really, really
That's-
off the cuff.
No.
But John Cena will come back, and he will, I think, be thrown right into the mix of the title picture. He'll win the Royal Rumble, and that'll be a huge victory for SmackDown. SmackDown could redeem themselves by having a superstar from them.
There's
win the
just
Rumble.
so many options right
It
now.
is. I mean, this is
it's
where
hard to calculate.
It's got to be fun.
Being
to
a WWE writer, you're up every day right now.
Yeah.
Every day you're like, what am I going to do
You're
with this
making
big
bullet
match?
points. You're doing notes, and you're
What
taking
are we
them.
going to do with this
And
match?
But at the end of the day,
You can still have Triple H making an appearance
Yes.
at some point.
Yes.
There's just so many roads right
we
now.
have not seen Triple H since SummerSlam.
We might-
And watch,
Crazy.
we're thinking of all these great ideas, and it's going to be something stupid.
But we're leaving people on the table. We're leaving Vince McMahon out. What's in the-
Batista will come
Hey.
back or something. That'll be the Undertaker Batista match, 4th time at WrestleMania.
You know what I want to know? I want to know what the hell's in that lockbox. Taker versus Vince at WrestleMania for the lockbox key.
Oh my God.
I think that's forgotten about.
I know that was
No one cares about.
I don't
the
think-
at our
lockbox.
Raw.
Besides you, dear.
Well, at
That
our Raw
had
in
Vince-
Detroit, it was at our Raw in Detroit that the lockbox only got brought up that one time.
Listen,
He's like,
Vince
if I-
McMahon can't walk without looking like he's got something up his ass, so he cannot wrestle.
the
This is
strut,
not
the
wrestling.
strut.
No, sorry.
Well,
You're gonna
either
have
way, this is a fun time to be a wrestling fan. Really, right around Survivor
a
Series
lot of
season.
options.
A lot of options.
What?
It'll be
Why?
fun.
Most of the time, you can catch on where wrestling's going. This is a point in time where
You can't.
really guess what's going to
Very
happen
unpredictable.
next.
Very.
Which is good. That's
You
good
don't
for
know
the-
what's going to
That's
happen.
good for the.
And it's
that's
great.
Good for it.
It is great for WWE because so many things have been just
I
kind
feel
of
like you always in WWE.
And I feel like there's really not many wrong answers. There are 2 or 3 paths that I'd be very happy with.
You
what
go
they can
through
do.
the dog days of summer in WWE because let's be honest, it ain't like the Attitude Era. The months of like June, July, August, right around like the
So
SummerSlam
SummerSlam.
is really boring. I mean, summer in WWE is really boring. Hell, Chris said he gave it up for the entire summer. It was really, really boring. There was no new feuds. It wasn't really, nothing was really catchy. But now it's really starting to kind of turn a corner, and this is the exciting time to be a wrestling fan, especially old school guys like us. And I mean, I popped hard for the Undertaker to come back, and that
of
was
course you
great.
did.
So, and to hear them words that he's back, and it sounds like it's a full-time run for, regardless if it's only for 4 or 5 months.
I really don't think he's going to be full time.
Not every SmackDown. Maybe one or
Maybe
two
every
a month.
other SmackDown or
Yeah.
every 3
Well, it
SmackDowns.
depends. It all
or
depends.
where it's located.
I'll be disappointed. Well, they fly him out, all expenses paid, so it don't matter where he goes.
Vince
It's
sends
all
out the
paid.
private jet.
Dude, he's covered for life. But what I'm thinking of right now is that is he going to be there he'll be at Survivor Series, but will he be used on TV? Will he come out and close the show?
No.
That's what I
doubt
feel.
it.
That's what would piss me off is that you close SmackDown, the final SmackDown or WWE event before Survivor Series with The Undertaker, but yet he won't be at Survivor
No,
Series
he'll
to show
be at
SmackDown. On
he'll either
Tuesday.
be at SmackDown or they'll wait and save him until Roadblock, and then he'll come out and say something.
Or cut a promo via satellite. So AJ Styles, like I don't want that. I mean, I want him to be in person. I don't want him to just cut a 5-minute promo and be done.
Screw over AJ Styles against Ambrose. That would be really.
There's so many predictions.
Really,
I feel like
really
all of our other predictions are very realistic. Between Sami Zayn, Kalisto, Lesnar over Goldberg, and I think those are all realistic. But I think really the 5-on-5
Chad still
traditional.
believes in Goldberg winning.
That's crazy. Hey, if he does,
I
honestly,
respect you for
if he
sticking
does,
your guns. I just
if he
Hey,
does,
you call me crazy, but I'm the only one who thinks
Well,
the
here's
Browns
the
are
thing.
going to go 0-16 too.
Well, here's the
That's
thing.
not out of realm at all.
If you have Goldberg win and go over on Lesnar, then you got to end it right there. You got.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no way you have a third match because it would look weird 2-1. It really would. And Goldberg, I think that if he wins,
Like I said,
he's
I have no
done.
problem if Goldberg loses, but they better have a third match because you just don't put that in the history books as
1-1.
2 of your best wrestlers of all time.
Oh, I wouldn't go that
1-1.
far. I wouldn't go best.
You can have it
wrestlers.
1-1, and then you can just leave it up there.
Goldberg
to
was the
people's
face.
imaginations.
It's arguable that
Let's
Goldberg
be honest, but
was
they've
the
both
face.
been the face at a time, and Goldberg was a face for a while.
Goldberg was the face of WCW.
You can argue that Sting was.
I would
Okay,
say.
so top
Goldberg-
2, whatever.
Goldberg was only there for like 3
huge.
years.
Goldberg was big at the time because he didn't lose. Sting was big because
Anybody could
his
make a guy.
longevity with the company and how much he did for the company. Sting was the breadwinner of
Goldberg
WCW.
was the answer to Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Exactly.
Let's be honest. Stone Cold came first, and then Goldberg was basically their
And
answer.
Goldberg was a great
He was
creation.
basically Stone
Was.
Cold Steve Austin on roids. It's really all he
And
was.
didn't lose.
but-
And didn't drink
yeah.
beer.
No, he didn't.
And walk through flames. Fireworks.
Blech. All right. Well, let's just say go Team Raw, go Taker, go SmackDown. I mean, it's going to suck because SmackDown probably will lose.
Let's just
but-
do this properly and not screw it up. I don't want to see some garbage ending.
Well, here's the thing.
Coming up with all these great
I don't-
ideas.
Here's me. I don't want to be pissed off because the Wings got their asses kicked against Calgary and then come home and
Oh,
watch,
they probably will. So
and
don't
watch
get your hopes
Survivor
up.
Series and just end up being a shit show.
I just wasted my time.
Yeah, I wasted my time, but hey, they're free tickets, so that's what I'll be happy about. But anyways, on that note, I'm going to call this one a podcast. We almost gone 2 hours, boys. This is a long show. We
Holy
just-
turtle shells, Batman.
We just talked like a half hour of wrestling too, for the matter. So
And no John Groves.
no John
Sad
Groves.
day.
Oh boy. Well, maybe we'll catch him next week. But on that note, we're going to call this one a podcast. Go MSU. Go Blue.
Go
Wings,
Lions.
Go Lions. Let's go, guys. You guys have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Ta-ta.
You think you know me?